Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Sports Zone.
The All-Star returned last night for the Atlanta Braves. Martin Prado, who missed over a month, came back in grand style against the Nationals. He showed his usual great defense, along with an RBI single and a big home run. He drives one down the left field line. He's got a chance to take the Grand Tour, and he will! Welcome back, Martin Prado. And with Prado back, the Braves now look to stay hot at home as they face off against the Nationals in Game 2. The Braves have won 11 of their last 12 at home, and they have 2 games left at Turner Field before they once again hit the road. The Braves and Nationals meet on a hot and beautiful Saturday night here in Atlanta.
Welcome to Turner Field, Braves fans, where the Braves get set to take on the Washington Nationals. It will be John Lennon on the mound tonight for the Washington Nationals, and Tommy Hanson, one of the best pitchers going into the All-Star break. I thought should have been in the All-Star game. He will be on the mound for the Braves tonight. We will talk a little bit more about Tommy Hanson right after this break.
Welcome back to Turner Field, where all season long Braves baseball on Sports South is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff, and the low price. Chip Carey joining Ronnie Gant. Nice job pinch broadcasting for me, partner.
Anytime.
I appreciate that.
Anytime.
We got a great matchup for Game 2 of the series, Braves and the Washington Nationals. Atlanta sends a red-hot Tommy Hanson to the mound against left-hander John Lennon. And it's safe to say that Tommy Hanson is on quite a roll for the Braves.
Well, he went into the All-Star break, Chip, with a lot of confidence out there on the mound. He made a couple of adjustments with his curveball, and as of late, he's been using that curveball a lot late in the counts, putting hitters away. Now, to me, I thought he should have been on the All-Star team, even though the National League won. He really could have helped that squad. But, again, for me, Tommy Hanson, when he's out there on the mound, he's going at least 7 innings, including his last start at Philadelphia, where he only gave up 1 earned run. So the Braves like their chances with him on the mound, and they know they're going to get innings out of him.
You know, Tommy Hanson, with those great numbers, has been the man that's won the Georgia Lottery, hitting the jackpot prize. And really, the Braves, Ronnie, this last couple of weeks, a club that's starting to put everything together at home, on the road, pitching, defense, and finally some offense, too.
Well, you look at the best record, road record in the National League at 26-20. Of course, March and May, they were 3.9 runs per game. But in June and July, it went up to 4.3. And I think a lot of that had to do with a little bit of Dan Uggla turning his season around, which I think he's going to have a big second half of the season. And Freddie Freeman, the big first baseman who has been swinging the hottest bat in the National League. So with those two guys in the lineup getting hot at the same time, they're starting to score more runs.
11 runs last night was enough for Atlanta to earn their 10,000th win in franchise history all time. Let's see if the Braves bats can continue to boom against a tough left-hander. John Lannon gets the start for the Washington Nationals. And Ron and I will be back with the first pitch and lineups right after this. Brought to you in part by Academy Sports and Outdoors, by AT Uverse, by Delta Airlines, by Checkers, and by Ford. Little rain shower passed across the ballpark just a few short minutes ago, but we aren't ready for baseball. The field's ready for play as Atlanta tries to knock off the Washington Nationals for the second time in this 3-game weekend series. Last night, a monumental win for the Braves franchise, number 10,000 in Braves history. And George Sherrill, the man that got a comebacker for the final out, retiring Roger Bernardina. And a little bit of a confusing moment because George Sherrill didn't know it was a milestone win. Took the Braves a little while to find that final out baseball.
Well, maybe it's a good thing. Sometimes, Chip, it's good not to know what's going on so you don't think about it.
And you see the outfield grass painted with the 10,000 win mark and a very nice championship banner, as you might call it, flying proudly just to the right of the chop house here at Turner Field, as the Braves one of 3 teams in baseball that have reached the 10,000 win mark. Here's how the Nationals line up in their Suzuki batting order for skipper Davey Johnson. Danny Espinoza, a Rookie of the Year candidate. We'll take a look at Rick Ankiel. He's the Washington center fielder. He gets his first start of this series tonight. John Lennon, the pitcher, he's a tough customer and has been for the Braves. But you can say the same about that man, Tommy Hanson, too.
Yeah, the Nationals are going to be going up against Tommy Hanson, the 6'6" right-hander, 220 pounds from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I mentioned earlier that he went into the All-Star break on a very hot streak, and hopefully he can continue that. I talked about the curveball that he's featured. It's been very good, and here's his 4 pitching keys to success. Curve their enthusiasm, just like I was just talking. He's been working on that really good curveball. He's been using it late and putting hitters away. And Worth avoiding. When Jason Worth comes up to the plate with runners in scoring position, he has pretty good numbers against Tommy Hanson. You want to avoid him or avoid pitching to him at all costs.
New look for Tommy Hanson. Looks clean-shaven as he starts the second half of this 2011 season. The defense behind him features Wilkin Ramirez in left. He plays with a left-hander on the mound. And Brian McCann gets the start behind the plate for the Braves. David Ross started this series opener. There's a look at Wilkin. And he's done good work against left-handed pitching for Atlanta in his brief stint at the big league club. So let's see what he can do tonight in Game 2 of the series.
Yeah, a little balance on offense. You got a couple more right-handed bats with Prado being back, and that kind of evens the lineup out.
And first pitch of the night is called a ball by home plate umpire Kerwin Danley. DJ Rayburn, Doug Eddings, and Dana DeMuth join him on the base paths for Game 2 tonight. Good breaking ball. Evens up the count to speedy Roger Bernardino. 7 bunt hits, 19 infield hits for this Washington club, Ron.
This ball club has a ton of speed, so Tommy Hanson is going to try to keep these guys at the top of the order off bases at all costs as well.
And Hanson fields the bunt attempt and takes care of Bernardino for the first out.
Thank you very much. Bunted it right back to him as a top of the order guy. When you try to lay down some of those bunts to try to get on base, it's got to be on the lines. If it's not on the line, it has to be foul. The closer you get into that pitcher, the more of a chance he's going to be able to throw you out.
So here's Espinoza. Danny Espinoza, 1 for 3 last night. 16 homers, 52 knocked in for the season for Washington. A legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate for the Nationals.
Well, Chip, one good thing about Tommy Hanson is his batting average against is 190, which is second in all of Major League Baseball. So that's a good sign, especially against a ball club that runs a lot. So if you don't get hits, you don't get to steal.
And he hasn't walked many either, just 35 and over 103 innings this year. Talk with Roger McDowell about Tommy. He said we're just seeing the evolution of this young man as a major league pitcher. Knowledge of his own game, knowledge of the men he's trying to retire on the other clubs, and just a much better understanding of what it takes to be successful in the big leagues. And Tommy's certainly done that. 10 wins, 4 losses, and this is his 18th start of the season.
As you take a look at Roger McDowell, he's done a tremendous job with this pitching staff, top to bottom. We're talking bullpen also, but it's scary to think that Tommy Hanson is still learning how to pitch as good as he is already.
There's that breaking ball you've talked about. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Tommy had the heavy-duty beard working before the All-Star break. He's trimmed it back just a bit. And battling with Espinoza here in the top of the first inning.
Tommy got bumped up a day. Freddie Gonzalez deciding to give Jair Jurgens an extra day rest since he threw a couple innings in the All-Star game. I think that was the right move. That's another thing that's been underrated is what Freddie Gonzalez has done with this club, especially with the injuries. Offensively, they've been inconsistent, but I think a lot of it has to do with guys being out of the lineup.
It'll bit high, runs the count full to 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Here it is again. There's that curveball, and not sharp with it yet, as of yet, but again, the first half of the season, he was pretty good with it.
That one was nasty. Espinosa down on strikes, and quickly 2 outs.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, he gets ahead of these hitters with his fastball. He even throws a 2-seamer, but location is the key for Tommy Hanson. He stays down in the strike zone, and with that great curveball, and now he's got that little sharp slider right there, and you're looking for a fastball in that count, and you get that pitch, it's tough to hit.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman, Washington's third baseman. Also 1 for 3 last night. Missed a lot of time with a abdominal problem. And you see the low power numbers as a result of that injury for Zimmerman. But a 7-game hit streak working for him tonight.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chip. Don't let those numbers fool you. They can be deceiving because this guy is one heck of a player. And you mentioned it. If he's healthy and in the lineup playing every day, he can definitely produce.
Hanson's had his number. Ryan just 3 hits and 15 at bats head to head. But this young man, one of the young faces of this Nationals franchise. This club has a chance to get good pretty quickly and stay good for a while with all the young players they've put together, much like the Braves. This is going to be a terrific budding rivalry. You think of the guys facing off, Espinosa and Zimmerman and Strasburg, and eventually Bryce Harper and Ramos for Washington, and then the young Braves pitchers and position players that are on the field tonight.
I believe that's why the Nationals went out and signed Jason Worth to that huge contract, because they saw that the next couple years or so they're going to be a contending ball club, and to have a right fielder that can produce like that to lead some of these young guys is key for them.
Tommy Hanson shaves the outside corner and freezes Zimmerman and works a perfect 1-2-3 top half of the first. For baseball, Washington retired in order, 1-2-3 by Braves starter Tommy Hanson. Now Freddie Gonzalez features this Suzuki starting lineup for the red-hot Braves at home. Schaefer, Prado, and McCann, 1, 2, and 3. Mentioned Wilkin Ramirez. He'll bat 8th in front of Atlanta's big right-hander Tommy Hanson tonight.
Chip, they're going to be going up against John Lannon, 6'4", 215 pounds, out of Manhasset, New York, and this guy is, they're going to have to be patient at the plate against him because he's going to be down in the strike zone. He throws a lot of slow stuff, and that's his forward pitching keys to success. Slow, slower, and slowest. You're going to see a lot of soft stuff, so you're going to have to look away and go away with some of his pitches. And low elevation, he's going to be down in the strike zone, which is his MO, so the Braves are going to have to make him bring the ball up.
And the Braves, as we've talked about most of this season, have at times struggled mightily against left-handed pitching. And Lannon is no exception. He's 6-4 lifetime against the Braves, and with a minimum of 12 starts, he's one of 7 active pitchers with a winning record against Atlanta.
And that's a part of it, is because you get a guy like a Lannon on the mound, and you're a fastball hitting ball club, and he throws all that slow stuff up there, and he nibbles. So you have to be patient and use the middle of the field.
And he's quickly ahead of Jordan Schaefer, the Braves leadoff hitter, with 2 strikes. I can't believe that you said take the ball up the middle as a dead pull hitter. I saw that on Braves Live before the game.
Yes.
You're so hypocritical, Mr. Gant.
Well, I can explain myself, Chip. Now, just because you're thinking up the middle doesn't mean that's exactly where you're going to hit it. Sometimes those pitches away, if you're thinking up the middle, you can still pull them. But if you have the correct mental thinking up there, then you're more likely to hit pitches hard because you're not trying to pull everything. And you're right. I didn't go to right field much, as we saw.
13%, something like that, right? Was that the exact
I was
number?
just hoping they'd leave that number out on the right
okay.
side. Just leave it red.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
I was actually surprised it was that high.
th start for Lannon. 5-6 record. And he just froze Jordan Schaefer for the first out of his game. And you talk about frightening incidents. How about Lannon's last against Colorado?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a little squeamish, you want to turn away for a second. And this is his last start. He took pretty much a perfect game into the 4th inning. He went 4 innings and a third, and he took this line drive off the glove and then off his nose with a contusion off the bat of Ty Wigginton of the Colorado Rockies. So didn't miss a start, so he's tough as nails out there, but that's a scary moment. Maybe get a little bit better fielding position after you throw the ball.
Here's Martin Prado. Oh, what a welcome back he was for the Braves last night. Martin talking before the game. So, well, it may take me a couple of days to really get my stroke back. Well, 2 hits and 5 tries, including a home run. That came against Livan Hernandez.
Well, I know they were really trying to get him back for that series right before the All-Star break up in Philadelphia, because they had Cole Hamels and Cliff Lee that they were facing, and it would be welcome to have that right-handed bat back in there. But this is just as good a time as any, because you're going to have a couple tough lefties coming up. Of course, tonight, John Lannon, and then Gorzelani tomorrow. So it's good to see him back in that lineup. Chipper talked about it. He said that, some guys are class clowns. And
pop up right side. Morse had a rough first inning yesterday. Handles this first chance with no trouble.
And some guys are, the guys that bring all the intensity to the clubhouse. And Chipper said Martin Prado is that guy. You need that guy to bring that intensity day in and day out, because it keeps you on their toes. So it's good for that whole clubhouse to see Martin Prado back in the lineup.
All-Star Brian McCann bats for the first time since the All-Star break. David Ross got the start last night. Brian bats in the number 3 spot for Atlanta tonight. Brian's hit lefties well, a .281 average this season. Some 70 points higher than the team mark. Little pop toward third, and no play for Zimmerman. Quickly 2 strikes. 5 errors for Washington last night. That matched their season high or low, depending on your perspective. And they shift Roger Bernardino to left. Rick Ankiel starts at center. Standard lineup defensively around the infield. And young Wilson Ramos back behind the dish. McCann pokes one toward Worth in right, and Jason tracks it down, and that retires the side. 2 perfect innings to start the game for Hansen and Lannon. both are brought to you in part by the Georgia Lottery, by Sonic, by Chase, and by AT&T. Scoreless first inning in Atlanta. Braves and Nationals playing game 2 this weekend. It's a brief 3-game homestand for the Braves. We head west to Colorado for a 4-game date with the Colorado Rockies, then 3 next weekend in Cincinnati. For the Braves, wrap up the month of July with a 7-game homestand with the Pirates and the Florida Marlins. Braves are really playing good baseball here at home. They've won 11 of their last 12 at Turner Field.
Well, it's all pitching, Chip, and we've been talking about it all season long, how good this rotation and the bullpen has been. But over their last 14 games, they're 10-1 with a 2.71 ERA, and that's just as good as anybody in all of baseball.
Here's Mike Morse. This guy's been an intriguing player for not only the Washington Nationals but the Seattle Mariners, from whom Washington acquired Michael. Double-digit home run totals, but never a 300 at-bat season. He's going to have a chance to put up 30 home run type numbers, Ron, playing first base for Washington with the injury to Adam LaRoche.
Yeah, you mentioned those errors last night, and the guys over some of the Washington Nationals announcers were saying that he's been playing a very good first base. Last night was just one of those things.
1 error all year, but 3 last night alone for Morse. He was quickly behind 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's lined over third and into the left field corner. Morse has the game's first base hit, and it's a leadoff double to start the Nationals' second.
Well, that's what he does, and that's why he's in the big leagues with the Nationals. And you see a hanging breaking ball by Tommy Hanson. Again, I mentioned that it's not real sharp yet. Maybe the All-Star break was a little bit too much for him, but once he gets that breaking ball down, then guys in that lineup will not be able to do that against him. But Michael Morse is a very good hitter. He's hot right now, and if you make mistakes to him, thank goodness he kept it in the ballpark there.
Same can be said for Jason Worth. He can hit anybody's mistake, but he hasn't been hitting much. Worth is in the middle of a 9 for 67 slide that's dropped his batting average all the way down to 216 for the year.
He hasn't homered since June 16th, and that's very rare for Jason Worth.
I asked Brian last night about Worth. You're a player too, Ron, who played for a couple of different teams. Your first year in a new uniform, do you put extra pressure on yourself to justify either being acquired or signed to a big contract like Worth?
Yeah, a lot of expectations from Jason Worth. You signed that big of a contract. Same with Dan Uggla. I think these guys have put a lot of pressure on themselves to prove those contracts and prove the trades, and that's part of the reason why they've struggled. So, yes, it can be an issue mentally. Again, once you relax and just let things happen and not try to prove what you can do on the field, because you've already done that. Your mindset is relax, go out there and have fun, and take good at-bats into the game.
Hanson struck him out. Worth was reaching, came up empty, and that's the 3rd strikeout of the game.
Now that's better location there. You see where Brian McCann is set up. He's set up off the plate, and he doesn't move that glove at all on that breaking pitch. And again, location is what has been the key for Tommy Hanson, and he hits his location there and gets a big strikeout. Got a runner second, no outs, and you don't get that runner over. It's just the little things that win ball games for you. I know Jason Worth is a production guy, but you still want to take a shot at hitting the ball to the right side.
And he had a good pitch to do that. It was over the outer half. But Hanson struck him out. Now faces his former teammate Rick Ankiel. And Ankiel with a .230 average and 13 knocked in.
Tommy Hanson kind of paying attention to Morse out there, getting a big walking lead, trying to keep him honest. But try not to pay too much attention to him because this is a big at bat. You need this out here.
Ball too high, 2 balls, no strikes. Washington averaging about 3.7, 3.8 runs per game. One reason for their offensive struggles is this situation. They're hitting under .220 with runners in scoring position this year. And perhaps Tommy pitching Ankiel carefully with the catcher Wilson Ramos waiting on deck. Let's see what he has in mind with a 3-0 count.
Well, there's probably a reason for that because Rick Ankiel has 2 at bats against Tommy Hanson, and he's homered in one of those.
Double play in order as Ankiel walks with 1 out. And Wilson Ramos, the catcher, is up. Ramos hit into a double play in the 2nd inning last night. Tommy Hanson would love the same tonight.
That would be great here. And Wilson Ramos, his numbers against Tommy Hanson are pretty good. 600. So Tommy's going to have to make some pitches here. Ramos sees the ball pretty well out of his hand.
Strike 1 to the Nationals' young catcher Wilson Ramos.
Sure, Ramos was looking for a fastball there, but it wasn't in a spot where he was looking. That was just a good, well-located pitch by Tommy Hanson on the outside corner. And if you're not ready to hit that pitch, don't swing at it. It's an automatic out.
High fly ball right center field. That's trouble. And that's going to bounce into the seats for a double. And 1 run's going to score. That'll be Mike Morse. Ramos with an opposite field ground rule double gives the Nationals a 1-0 lead here in the 2nd.
Well, Chip, this is what I was talking about. This is a fastball again, but it catches more of the plate here. It's more of the outer third than that outer corner of the plate there. And Ramos again just kind of reaches out there, sticks the bat out, and hits it in a good spot.
13 doubles, 31 RBIs, and now Ian Desmond, the Washington shortstop, bats with John Lannon waiting on deck. Now the Braves spotted him an early run last night, Ronnie. They've spotted him one here in the 2nd tonight.
Nothing we can't handle. That was actually a blessing that ball bounced over the fence there because only 1 run could score. Let's see if we can take advantage of it.
Good stop for Brian McCann. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, that's another thing that Brian McCann does very well, and it's not talked about a lot, but if you ask the pitching staff, you get 2 strikes with a runner at third base and you want to bounce one, they trust that he's going to block it. And that's exactly what you saw there.
Ball too low, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, with the base open, Tommy Hansen's thinking, I don't want to throw anything too good here. Got the pitcher coming up. He's going to hit something to make it a good pitch where he gets himself out.
Can't give in here because Lannon, the pitcher's next, and I don't believe he has a hit yet this year.
Yeah, I'll take my chances with the pitcher, that's for sure.
And indeed, the bases are loaded. And look at the numbers for Lannon. 0 for 32 with 15 strikeouts.
Yeah, and the Braves know that. They know once Lannon comes up to the plate, you can get an out there, but you can't take it for granted. You still have to make a good pitch and put him away. But again, you like your chances here. Maybe even try to get him to hit a ground ball.
Long chat with Lannon and third base coach Bo Porter. Perhaps Davey Johnson will think about a squeeze play here. Martin Prado even with the bag, trying to keep Rick Ankiel as close to the third base bag as he can. Hansen will work out of the stretch with one out.
Davey Johnson, my manager in 1995 with the Cincinnati Reds, and he is a very aggressive manager. He would switch it up, and wouldn't be surprised if you see a squeeze play here.
Up the middle and into center field. Lannon's first hit, scores one. Schaefer throw back to second, not in time, and John Lannon helps himself as the Nationals score Ankiel and Ramos.
Well, Tommy Hansen did exactly what he wanted to do, and that was to get a ground ball, but John Lannon hits this ball up the middle. You see that hole up there, up the middle there, straightaway center field, and Alex Gonzalez just could not get to this. Actually, he probably could have got to it, but he pulls up there thinking that Dan Uggla might have went after that ball.
So the top of the order up for the Nationals now. They've scored 3 times in the inning against Hansen. First time Tommy's pitched since July 9th, and some 7 days rust perhaps showing in the early innings tonight. Line to second. That's all Atlanta gets as Bernardino's the second out. And Espinosa bats with runners first and second, 2 out now.
On that ground ball up the middle, as the shortstop, you're like the center fielder in the outfield. You go after everything that you can get. You call the other guys off to make. If you can get to that play, you need to get to it and call the other guy off. I didn't see anyone saying I got it on this play. This is a miscommunication play. Alex Gonzalez, a veteran who normally makes all the plays out there at shortstop, has to let Dan Uggla know that I got this ball, I'll take it and turn the 2. But no communication there.
At the very least, that cost the Braves 1 run. Or if you get that, maybe only 1 comes in and not the catcher Ramos. So Espinosa bats with a chance to add to a 3-0 Washington lead. One ball, 1 strike.
Well, more importantly, Tommy Hansen is throwing a lot of pitches this inning, and it's a good thing we just went through the All-Star break because the bullpen is nice and fresh. So if Tommy gets into trouble anytime during the game, Freddie can go to that bullpen whenever he wants to. Let's hope he works his way out of this. That's his 26th pitch of the inning. Usually you want to be around that 15 pitch mark per inning. He's way over that now.
Morse doubled to start the inning. Worth struck out. Ankiel walked. Ramos a double. Desmond a walk. John Lannon, his first hit of the year, drove in 2. Bernardino lined out softly, and now Espinosa with a 1-2 count. And that ball in the dirt and missed. And that retires the side. Well, who would have thought this? John Lannon, 0 for 32 at the plate this year, bounces one up the middle, and that extends the Nationals' lead to 3-0 in the second. Ron Gadd, Chip Carey with you tonight. Ronnie, let's turn back the clock a bit. Let's you and I go racing. We did that once before.
Yes,
Sports House taking you behind the wheel on one of NASCAR's fastest tracks, Spotlight Atlanta Motor Speedway, premiering this Friday at 10:30 Eastern right here on Sports South.
If I remember correctly, you beat me time-wise.
I did, yes.
I want a rematch.
I would love to do that sometime.
Absolutely.
And 10,000 wins notched by the Braves last night leads us to our AT Uverse trivia question. Since the inception of the franchise in 1876, how many 100-win seasons have the Braves had?
Ooh, very nice. I'm going to guess 3.
3? Okay, we'll see if you're right.
Probably not, but it was worth a guess.
I'll bet Chipper Jones knows the answer to the AT Uverse trivia question. How many 100-win seasons have we had, Mr. Buck Commander? We're having a technical problem.
He said he knows everything, by the way.
Freddie Freeman leads things off, and Lannon has an even count. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Chipper's a little bit of a historian, I believe. Might have learned a little bit from us old guys. Maybe a little bit. When he first came up, it was like my last year or two with the Atlanta Braves. And man, I tell you, he looked like a young whippersnapper back then.
1-2 count. And Freeman is down on strikes. And Freddie is retired. Second strikeout for John Lannon.
John Lennon's been pretty good. His last 10 starts, he's 3-2 with a 2.95 ERA. I know his record is 5-6, but he has been throwing the ball well. He's 3-0 versus Atlanta in his last 4 starts with a 2.82 ERA. So they haven't solved him yet, Chip. You mentioned it earlier. They're going to have to change their method against him, make him get the ball up a little bit.
Well, that's the name of the game for Lannon. Loves the ball on the ground. Gets a lot of double play balls. And the Braves, a very left-hand hitting team, as we've talked about all season long, Ronnie. And he's retired the first 4 with Danny Huglen up there, and now a 1-1 count to him. We promised Chipper Jones will be joining us here in a few moments. He's critiquing the broadcast, preparing for his 2011 season debut here in the booth. As Washington leads by a 3-0 score.
Danny has a 7-game hit streak. He's hitting .333 during that time with those 3 homers and 6 RBIs. And again, it's good to see that he's starting to turn things around. And I talked about the expectations of coming here to Atlanta and trying to prove those expectations. And I think he's settling down and is starting to swing the bat well. Look for him to have a big second half of the season.
And Ugla walks, first base runner of the night for the Braves. That'll bring up Jason Hayward. All right, let's test it out, Chipper. Let's see if the mic's working.
You got me?
Hey, there he is.
All right, I'm here.
Way to go.
Now you can defend yourself.
Yeah. No, it says right here I should talk back, so I'm going to talk back to you.
Have right at it. How's the knee feeling? That's a question I'm sure for everybody.
Oh, it's feeling a heck of a lot better than it did about a week ago. It's good to get that procedure out of the way and just to go down on the field and feel, so much better than I did even yesterday. Going out and doing it for the first time, I can see the improvement already, and looking forward to getting back in there sometime next week.
Yeah, well, you had said maybe the Pittsburgh series, which is the end of the month after the next road trip. Is that still your ETA? Or
that's kind of what I'm shooting for. I'm due to come off the DL, I think, Sunday in Cincinnati. The last time I had this procedure done, obviously I was 24 when I got it done. I missed 16 days. So 16 days this time will be the first game of the Pittsburgh series. So, that's kind of what I'm shooting for.
Have you had to drain it or anything? Has there been any inflammation?
Nothing yet. I was really surprised. When you get those knee procedures done, so much emphasis is put on, building back up the quad and the thigh muscle and the calf muscle and whatnot. But it's the fluid in the knee and the swelling in the knee that prohibits you from doing that. So the muscles in the leg have come back really fast, and then I think that's why you're seeing me progress so much quicker.
Yeah, we've got video of you working out before the game yesterday and again today. I mean, you looked like you were running pretty free and easy for a real old guy.
Well, for a real old guy, yeah. Yeah, there's still some discomfort there. Obviously, 6 days, post-op, there's going to be some, some soreness there, but from yesterday to today, I saw a huge improvement. Hopefully, we'll keep getting, that improvement in equal increments.
I know you had said all year that you really haven't felt like Chipper Jones yet from the left side of the plate. Was the knee part of that problem for you from the opening bell, or was this something that just got progressively worse?
It just got progressively worse. I didn't start feeling it maybe until May. And, it progressively got worse to the point where, we went and got the MRI. And, once you get the MRI, and find out you got something torn, then you're keeping, an especially close eye on it. And, the shots at first worked. At least the first one did, the second one didn't. And then, after that, you can see those big lumps on on my knee right there where the incisions are. That doesn't feel too good. But like you said, I mean, it feels pretty good right there. Just here I am just trying to, so I don't lose. I call this the don't lose touch with your body movements,
Well, I did that a long time ago, Chip.
That's one of the big things when you come into spring training, you have lost touch with your body. You get a base hit the first game of spring training, and your mind tells your feet to start running to first base, and your feet just aren't following, and you trip and you fall coming out of the box. You look like an idiot. And
should we call that the Tim Hudson disease?
Yeah. Well, I told him after he fell, I told him we were going to check these light standards up here and make sure we didn't have a sniper up in the lights.
2 outs for Alex with an 0-1 count. Lannon leads by a 3-0 score, and a high drive belted toward left field and deep, and we got a 1-run game.
That was huge. That was really big right there.
Well, coming into tonight, Alex Gonzalez had some pretty good numbers against John Lannon, a .462 average, 6 for 13 with a .538 slugging percentage. So he is right on cue. He gets a pitch up in the strike zone, and I mentioned this at the top of the show. Lannon has to be down in the strike zone, especially with his location. And this pitch is up in the strike zone in the middle of the plate. And Alex was patient enough to stay back and drive the ball out. Again, I talked about it earlier. Just because you're thinking up the middle doesn't mean you're going to hit it up the middle. It just keeps you in a better approach at the plate to be able to drive the ball there.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of our hitters this year who have kind of gotten away from staying up the middle, their approach up the middle. You know, a lot of guys have kind of left the dugout trying to hook the ball around the left field foul pole as opposed to, you know, staying up the middle and then reacting to the ball middle in. And it looked like, you know, John Lannon has been a tough matchup for us over the last couple of years. And he just doesn't throw anything in the middle of the plate. And he doesn't try to do the same thing twice in a row. If he throws you a cutter away, he's going to four-seam you in. If he throws you a cutter in, he's going to sink you away. I mean, that's what he's done. And he got that ball to Alex in the middle of the plate. A little off-speed pitch right in the middle of the plate. Probably wanted it a little farther in, and Alex doesn't miss too many balls in the middle of the plate.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. And that's good to see because, you know, going into the break, he was struggling a little bit. And to be able to take advantage of a pitch like that, it's got to make him feel good.
It's got to make you feel good, too, to see the Braves doing something against left-handed pitching. I mean, it's not just John Lannon. That's been one thing that's been a little head-scratching, I guess, sitting up here is the struggles against lefties.
Well, when you're got a predominantly left-handed lineup, you're going to struggle, especially with some of the lefties we got in our division.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Cliff Lees and the Cole Hamels and Santana's, and obviously John Lannon's been very successful against us.
Alani tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's no wonder why they got two lefties going against us this series. I think it was probably a good managing decision on
planned
on Davey Johnson's
Yeah,
part.
This isn't his first rodeo.
No, he's been around the block a time or two. Now, that home run by Gonzo was huge for a bunch of different reasons, because I will venture a guess to say team goes out and scores 3 runs, and then the other team comes back and puts 1 or 2 on the board to kind of get you back in the game. Your chances of coming back and winning the ball game are a lot better than if you don't answer right back. So that was a big swing in the bat.
Yeah, baseball is you're absolutely right. It's a lot of momentum, and you don't want that team that just scored 3 runs, put 3 runs on the board to get away with that momentum. You don't come back and score a run or 2 the next inning, then they feel like they can build on that.
Well, we may just sit around for an extra out or so. You got to stick around for another half inning. All right, we know the microphone's working, and you brought the Braves a couple of runs.
I got nothing to do,
I'm
boys.
still mad at you.
Either that or you can rehab some more. Chipper Jones will be back with us for the top of the 3rd inning. In Atlanta, Ron Gant, Chipper Jones, Chip Carey with you for Game 2 of the series. Our McDonald's fan of the game.
Hello.
Tommy's beard was close, but not quite.
He's been a Braves fan for a long time.
I think so. I think so.
All his relatives will be looking me up tomorrow.
Yeah, Chipper Jones called me out on national TV. Way to go. Well, let's see if Tommy can have a shutdown inning. Braves gave him 2 runs. He's down 1, 3-2 as we head to the 3rd inning now.
I think he will. Not many teams get a gauge on Tommy, a bunch of innings in a row. He'll have a bad inning every once in a while. Obviously, some seeing eyeballs last inning that cost him some runs, but this is usually when he turns it on. It's the one thing that separated Tommy this year from in the past was his focus. He's coming out of the bullpen every day focused and breathing fire and a lot more intense about his job, and you can see the results. The results have followed.
I know you can't change past history, and it seems like every year, Chipper and Ronnie, there's 1 or 2 players who should go to the All-Star game and for myriad reasons can't. There's no question that Tommy Hansen's credentials in the first half of the year would be All-Star worthy. Had 10 wins at the break. 4th best ERA in the league, lowest batting average in the league, but was the odd man out. What do you as players think the remedy should be as far as that's concerned? Or is there a fix?
There is none. I'm convinced that there is none. I'm still convinced that the reason that Boach took me this year was because he left me off the roster in '99. I won the MVP in '99. I didn't go to the All-Star game.
Yeah, but your production numbers have been up there this year.
Yeah, I understand. But, a guy like Aramis Ramirez has got to say, what do I have to do? I got, 13, 14 homers at the break. And, he was hot. And I had made other plans. I really didn't expect to go. Was very flattered that the players voted me in. That meant a lot to me. But you take somebody who you feel has been jilted, and there's somebody else pops up. There's always going to be. It's like, if you got a football playoff in college football of 8 teams, then the debate's going to be who the 9th and 10th teams are. It's just it's a never-ending debate, and it's unfortunate. I think Tommy certainly deserved to go, and if Freddie Gonzalez would have been the manager of the All-Star game, he would have gone.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Deep short, Alex scoops and takes care of Ryan Zimmerman for the first out. Braves have a chance tonight to pick up a game on the Phillies. The Mets clobbered him today 11-2.
Yeah, that's nice to see.
Cole Hamels was the starter. And while everyone is certainly focusing on the Eastern Division race, a lot of casual fans might not realize, guys, the wild card lead the Braves have put together.
Yeah, that's nice right there. I like seeing that. That was one of the reasons why I got my surgery done, to be honest with you. Obviously, we're shooting for the top spot in the National League East, but that cushion in the wild card is something that's, certainly with the confidence level we have in our clubhouse and our dugout right now, we're going to be hard to catch as far as that's concerned.
Martin Prado handles cleanly for the second out with Mike Morse, the first baseman, retired. And here's Jason Worth. What is it about the Nationals? They give us fits.
If I had an answer, I'd remedy it. I don't know. They have a bunch of guys. They just match up well with us. This is a game of matchups. You throw this team up against the Philadelphia Phillies, and they don't match up with them at all. But for some reason, they match up well against us. They seem to, their pitchers seem to, give us problems from time to time. And we've been a team that has struggled through the last year and a half offensively. This is a good series for us because it'll tell us where we stand offensively. Certainly throwing 11 up last night on the scoreboard and a couple tonight so far. Hopefully things are starting to turn around.
And home field advantage. I mean, Turner Field's been really good to you guys the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've really turned the corner. Let me tell you something, folks. This is a good ball club, and they don't need me in the lineup to be a good ball club. To be honest with you, I know a lot of people say that it'd be nice to get me back in there, but this team can win ball games without me, and as long as we keep pitching and those guys down at the end of the bullpen keep doing what they're doing, this club's going to win a ton of ball games.
Yeah, Chipper, the early 90s, I played behind a very good pitching staff, as we all know. And I kind of compare these guys, the starting rotation, to those guys because they're almost as good. Anytime that you go out there on the field and one of these 5 guys are out on the mound, you feel like you have a chance to win.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're kind of getting back to because, you know, in the early, mid, late 90s, the whole 90s, you know, when we took the field, we expected to win. You know, and that's kind of what you've seen out of the Philadelphia Phillies for the last 5 or 6 years. When they go out there on the field, they expect to win. And for those 4 or 5 years, we kind of walked out on the field hoping to win.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a big difference, you know. And now we're starting to – we know that every guy that we got going out there on the mound every night is going to keep us in the ball game. We know we got a dominant bullpen, and it's just a matter of whether we score 3 or 4 runs on a given night, we're going to win.
Yeah, you know what? That reminds me. I'm still mad at you.
You're still mad about 95?
Yeah, I am still mad about 95. I was with the Cincinnati Reds, and we go to the NLCS, and you guys
look back
beat us in that series.
Yeah,
Yes, you do. I know you do.
Well, see, you guys thought you were going to be so slick and load up on left-handed pitching. Y'all had David Boomer Wells, and y'all had Pete Sherrick and John Smiley and all those guys. I mean, you guys had it rolling, and you know, we were thinking, golly, how are we going to score runs again? But if y'all don't score any runs, we can't.
Well, absolutely, because we just mentioned the pitching rotation for you guys. But the biggest thing in that series was Reggie Sanders had a huge year that year.
Yep.
And that starting rotation of the Atlanta Braves in 95, I think they struck him out 16 times in that series.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it for us.
Well, and you know what? As we've seen here over the years, you know, whether it's a struggling Jeff Francoeur or a struggling Dan Uggla, the big at-bats in the games when the teams are struggling, find that one guy who is struggling. It seemed like every big at-bat in that series, you know, with a couple of guys on base, came down to Reggie Sanders.
Yes, it
you
did.
Know, and it just picked a bad time. The baseball guys picked a bad time for him to be in a slump.
Well, you guys go on to win the 1995 World Series, of course, and then 1996, I ended up my first year with the St. Louis Cardinals, and we guys had you guys. See, I'm still mad at you for that too. So it's 95 and 96, 3 games in one. We guys had you, and from what I understand, you had a team meeting after y'all went down 3-1.
Yeah.
And you pretty much lit a fire under everybody in that ball club, and it worked, and I'm still mad at you.
Well, there was one guy that was responsible for that team meeting, and that was Dennis Eckersley, because he pulled a Derek Lowe. He pulled a Derek Lowe. I'm staying around to the next inning because I
like
want to
it.
tell this story.
All right, that's as Chipper learns the broadcasting business. That's called a tease. We head to the bottom of the third. It's a 3-2 game. bottom of the third inning, our all-star studded booth. With us here in Atlanta for Game 2. And, Chipper, I know you can't wait for this date, August 12th. The Braves and Cubs will play, and Bobby Cox will have his number retired.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. And great seats available for that special and historic event. Dial 800-745-3000.
Probably shed a tear that day.
Yeah, it's going to be emotional for
It's
sure.
going to be pretty cool.
We're running out of room up there, by the way, with all those numbers in the left field corner. Huh?
Oh, we ain't done yet.
Oh, there's plenty of room.
we got a few more going up there here.
Yeah, we'll put them on the Coke bottle if we have
Yeah,
to.
where's yours going to go? Is the question. We got to figure out the right spot.
We got to rearrange those. I don't mind. If I'm lucky enough, I won't mind going to change.
That ball drops in no man's land, and Schaefer never stopped running. He represents the tying run.
I'll tell you what, that guy's done such a good job since getting called up.
You know, I've talked about him, Chipper, and it just, from my point of view, watching him play, and I can ask you this, does he add that energy like it looks like? It looks like it just feeds down through the lineup.
Yeah, it's no secret. Your offense is only as good as your leadoff hitter. You know, you got guys in the middle of the lineup that can carry you for stretches of time, but you got to have that table setter at the top with some speed that can, you got to worry about stealing bases. You can play big ball and little ball with. And with Jordan Schaefer, since he's gotten here, we've been able to do both. I had a conversation with him in spring training. He walks up to me, and I love this as a young kid, coming up to me. He said, "What do I have to do to make this ball club?" I said, "Quite frankly, Schaefer, you got to make more contact. You got to stop worrying about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. You need to cut down, hit the ball the other way on the line, up the middle, and make more consistent contact. Utilize the gift that God gave you, and that's your legs, and he's done that."
Bouncing ball. It's hit in front of Schaefer, and he's out. First out at third base, and he knows that was not the right play.
Yeah, I think he had it if he goes right away. He took a little stutter step and read the hop and then went. And I think he'd have had it if he'd have just gone. Watch this. You see him kind of hesitate right there, and if he wouldn't have hesitated, I think he'd have made it.
Well, and that's something he's going to have to learn. The rule is if the ball's hit right at you or to your right side that you're going to stay there, but he tried to avoid the ball making contact with it, which he would be out in that situation, so that slowed him down a bit.
Martins at first with one out for Brian McCann now. He promised us to finish the story about Dennis Eckersley.
Okay.
I don't want to let that go.
Do I really have to?
So
oh, absolutely.
They beat us 3-1, and I'm sitting in the dugout, and Eckersley gets the last out. And, I mean, when he got the last out, he looks right in our dugout, and he gave us the Tiger Woods fist pump. And, I mean, he stared in our dugout for seemed like 10 seconds, but it was 3 or 4 seconds maybe. But it was enough to, get up under my saddle a little bit.
Yeah,
so
which is a no-no.
Yeah, we went back in, and I was like, these boys, if you saw what I just saw, if you're going to let them do that to us, and disrespect us like that, then, I'm not going to let it happen. These guys are not beating us another game in this series. I don't want them to score another run. We are going to come out tomorrow off of Stottlemyre or Bennis or whoever it was, and we're going to take out some frustration. And from then on, man, I think we outscored you guys 40-something, high 30s to 2 or 3. I'm sorry to bring up all these bad memories,
You
but
had to mention it. But it's okay.
You were probably rooting for the Yankees in the World Series, weren't you?
No, I was not. I would never do that to you. You know you're my buddy. Well, maybe a little bit.
There were a lot of people wanting to knock us back down to earth back then because we were, we were like the Phillies and the Yankees are now. We just won consistently every year, and everybody wanted to see us get knocked down a peg.
Well, that's a good point. You get a guy that does that to your dugout, that's bulletin board material, and that's what you want to stay away from.
Yeah.
Ryan puts it in play. He'll advance Prado to second with the second out, and Freddie Freeman's coming up. And Freddie struck out his first time. It's got to make you feel good, too, Chipper, that whenever your time is done as a player for this Braves ball club, the future looks to be in pretty good hands with some of these young everyday players.
Boy, you're darn right, man. This kid's right at the top of the list. Obviously, B-Mac is one of my favorites because we've been together, the longest. But this kid right here he's been a pleasant surprise, and I had some lofty standards for this kid coming out of spring training, but he's continued to exceed him. You're starting to see him become a professional hitter right before your eyes.
What surprised you most about him?
I was skeptical of his swing. You know, in all honesty, I was skeptical of his swing, and he had some trouble with it, and we've had some side sessions talking about it. Freddie is a guy that if he comes up out of his coil, his load, he has a tendency to hit a lot of top spin line drives that get caught, a lot of toppers to the right side that get caught. But when he stays coiled and he stays loaded and comes, you know, down and through the baseball, I tell you what, he hits some majestic balls and some wicked line drives. And, you know, the maturity that he showed in the big spots too, guys in scoring position, 2 outs, you know, game on the line, that's been what's been most impressive, because you start to see him calm down. The game has slowed down for him, and that's been cool to watch.
Up the middle.
Oh.
Bobbled and barehanded by Desmond, and that retires the side. Chipper, great to see you, man. Get back soon.
Appreciate it.
The
Good,
Buck
All right,
Commander. That's right. The Buck
All right.
Commander. Chipper Jones with us. Good ball game and a good man. 3-2 our score after
Get that
3
knee
and
ready.
of play in Game 2 of the series, Ronnie.
Yeah, all the scoring has been in the second inning, starting off with John Lannon, who had that two-run single up the middle in that second inning. We mentioned that he hadn't had a hit on the season, and of course, what does he do? Hits a ball in the spot where the middle infielders could not get to it, but the Braves come right back in the bottom of the second with a big two-run home run by Alex Gonzalez to put the Braves on the board and keep this game close.
So Tommy Hanson goes to work with the lower third coming up. Ramos, Desmond, and John Lannon. Ron Gant, a very relieved partner in the booth now that his tormentor has left us. Chipper Jones has left the building.
Well, he deserves it, and so do I.
Well, he looks like the weight of the world has been lifted from his shoulders, knowing that the knee feels good, that the surgery apparently has been successful, and that he's, if all goes right for him, 10 days or so away from perhaps coming back and being ready for duty for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and you know, he said that he knows that this ball club can win games without him, and they can, and I agree with that 100%, but they are so much better with him in the lineup just because of his presence. He didn't even have to get a hit in a ball game, but if you're a opposing pitcher and you look at their lineup and you see Chipper Jones in that third spot in the middle of that order, then it changes your whole perspective as a ball club and how you're going to approach that order. So for me, Chipper Jones has got to be in the lineup for them to be successful, especially in postseason.
Hanson's breaking ball is darting now. That's the 6th strikeout of the game for him. And Ramos, the leadoff man, is out number 1. Back to our trivia question. AT&T Uverse asks us, since the inception of the Braves franchise, how many 100-win seasons have the Braves had? It goes all the way back, as you see, to the 19th century. Ronnie, you said 4, right?
I said 3, but
3?
I'm probably not even close there. That's a lot of wins.
I'll go 4.
Price is right.
Our producer Joe Vencius says, do you have a guess? And it's 8 times.
It's 8. Wow. Very nice.
Last time in 2003 for the Braves.
Well, you were halfway there.
I was halfway there. And back to your point about Chipper, to me it's really remarkable that the Braves sit right now 3 games out of first place, when they've had their opening day lineup together 11 times this season. That's it. 11 games.
Yeah, and and I mentioned this earlier, it all reflects back to Freddie Gonzalez and having to juggle this lineup. And Chipper talked about it, guys being out, and they can still win ball games, which they have, but I think he has pulled the right strings to be able to put the right guys in the lineup for them to be successful.
High fly to left by Desmond, but that's playable. Wilkin Ramirez is under it. And the 8th place hitter is out number 2. Braves baseball on Sports South, brought to you by Miller High Life. This summer, find out how giving back bottle caps can give returning vets a piece of the high life. Go to MillerHighLife.com for details.
Chip, we are also on the Armed Forces Network tonight. This game's being broadcast on that network. So welcome in all you men and women of the Armed Forces. We are proud of you. We appreciate everything you do for us. And God bless you.
You got that right. John Lannon right now has the biggest base hit of this game. It was his first of the year. It snapped out of an 0 for 32 slump. It drove home 2 Nationals and has given him this margin of lead, 3-2 to score.
Yeah, Chipper even talked about the balance in the lineup with all the lefties in there. And, it makes you wonder if Frank Rennan, the front office, are maybe thinking or looking to go out and get a right-handed bat off the bench, maybe to spot start.
Well, that's the tough part, I would think. You haven't had your team together but for 11 games. You've just gotten Prado back. You're not going to get Chipper back until about a week before the non-waiver deadline. Tough to evaluate your club.
That's right.
But what you see right now, you have to like, even though Washington leads by a run in the middle of the 4th inning of Game 2. Skipper Davy Johnson. Jim Riggleman resigned. Davy Johnson named the manager of this club on June 26th. Won the '86 World Series with the New York Mets. And young Braves fans might not realize that back in the early 70s, in the young days of the Atlanta Braves franchise, Davy Johnson was a star on one of those teams.
Yeah, you know, this is one heck of a threesome here. You see Darrell Evans on the left, and of course the huge Hall of Famer Hank Aaron, one of my idols growing up. But yeah, Davy Johnson could really swing the bat. You know, I talked to Hank and some of the guys about him, and they said he was a very underrated player. But again, I mentioned that in 1995 we were just joking around with Chipper how they beat us to go to the World Series that year. Well, Davy was our manager, and we really liked how he managed that ball club. We had a very good ball club, but the way he put the bullpen together and used the bullpen allowed us to go to that NLCS. And I mentioned that he's very aggressive, so he will try different things out there. And I think he's going to be good for these young guys for the Washington Nationals.
He said that's one of his, talking to him yesterday, that's one of his main goals. Whether he's managing the club next year or someone else is managing in 2012, he and Pat Corrales want to let these young players get their feet on the ground at the major league level so that if they have holes to try to fill next season, they know among their young franchise players whom to keep and whom to try to work around, if that makes any sense.
It does, and you know, part of the reason why Jim Riggleman isn't there anymore is because they knew what they had in Davy Johnson being in their front office. It could be their guy that steps in and be there for a long time to kind of mentor some of these young kids coming through. And you know, you and I talked about it earlier that the future is bright for the Washington Nationals. They have a lot of talent coming. They got good pitching. Their bullpen, you look at Tyler Clippard, Slayton, all these guys are really good. They're young, they can throw hard, so they have a really good ball club they're putting together.
Lannon's walked 3 men in this game. A leadoff pass to Dan Uggla represents the tying run. The funny thing about that 1973 club, you mentioned Davy Johnson, Darrell Evans, and Hank Aaron, all with 40 or more home runs. Of that trio, Hank Aaron was the only one who didn't make the All-Star team that year. And Davy Johnson told me that it took some convincing for Hank Aaron to get in the lineup over the final 10 days, 2 weeks of that 73 season. Explain more about that in a second. Remember, Hank Aaron was closing in on Babe Ruth's home run record, and the Braves were holding him out of ball games because they wanted him to break the record at the start of the 1974 year, which he eventually did, of course, at the old ballpark.
It's got to be tough.
But Darrell Evans walked up to Hank Aaron, he said in the final 10 days, said, "Hey, Hank, I've got 40 home runs. Davy's got 40-something home runs. Why don't you play in one game and get 40? And Hank said, all right, I'll play today. And Davy said his first at bat, hits a home run, gets his 40th, and that was it for the 73 season. But he said that's how great Hank Aaron was. He could literally step into a batter's box and hit the ball out almost at will. And it's certainly the back of the bubblegum card reflects that.
The game is just not that easy, and it's sometimes sitting around thinking about it, it's hard to explain what guys like Hank Aaron were able to do throughout their careers, especially some of the things that he went through and had to endure. So for me to be able to have that kind of talent and put all that other stuff aside and do the job on the field is amazing.
Zimmerman, a good play to his left, high throw to second, forces Dan Uggla. That was one of the questions I had for Chipper when he was in the booth with us, is what kind of player at third is Ryan Zimmerman? That was a terrific play. Time now for the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. And this Cold Hard Blast off the bat of Alex Gonzalez.
Yeah, bottom of the second inning, the Nationals had jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but Alex makes sure that this game stays close. A big 2-run home run there in the bottom of the second. Chipper talked about it. You don't want that other ball club to take that momentum into the next inning, so it's great that he answered right back there.
The other thing Chipper said is Lannon does not have a real pattern when he pitches to you. So what does Alex look for, knowing he homered against Lannon last time up?
Well, his method is, again, we talked about it, is thinking up the middle, because you saw that pitch. It was a pretty good pitch, a little bit up in the strike zone, but Alex stayed back and just threw his hands out there and got enough behind it.
Up the middle. Desmond to the bag and to first for a double play. Lannon has recorded More double play ground balls than any pitcher in baseball. That was his 17th, and it preserves a 1-run lead. In Atlanta. And good ball game tonight. 3-2 Washington in front. All year long Braves baseball on Sports South, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff. The low price. And that's how big the baseball usually looked for my partner, Ron Gant.
Occasionally. I'm not going to talk about right field anymore, okay?
No. No.
Or unless you.
Well, no, I'll let it
sounds
go.
like you want to.
The sun's setting in the left, man.
That's right.
You're all right. As far
I would
as I'm
definitely
concerned.
swing at it over there. That's for sure.
You're a 30-30 guy. I'm not going to argue with you. Strike one to Roger Bernardina. I know a lot of folks remember your power. They forget your base running ability. And the game of baseball in 2010 and beyond looks like it's moving more toward a game where little guys, if you'll pardon the expression, have a place in Major League Baseball again.
It's good to see. You know, I was blessed with power and some speed, and you know, we got away from that a little bit for about a decade or so. But nice pitch there by Tommy Hanson. There's that breaking ball again I talked about. Looks like he's starting to get a feel for it. Took him a couple of innings or so, but he's been getting ahead of these hitters with his fastball. Look at that big breaking ball there to match up with that good, tight, hard slider. All three of those pitches working together. When he locates him, he's pretty much unhittable. But yeah, you know, Chip, the game has kind of gotten away from that. We were relying on the big 2- and 3-run home runs to win games, and you know, guys like a Jordan Schaefer who you see there, and you know, I think the Braves are going to start adding some guys that can run. But it's good to have that speed that can put pressure on the defense, like Chipper talked about, and it also puts pressure on that pitcher, because now all of a sudden the pitcher has to worry about you on the bases and trying to steal bases, and they lay one in there that they don't want to, and the hitter behind you takes advantage of that.
8 strikeouts for Hanson. He's gotten Espinosa twice, and he's quickly ahead of him. No balls, 2 strikes. Tommy was not as sharp. I'm sure he'll talk about this after the game. Not as sharp in his first 2 innings tonight. But since then, very crisp, getting ahead of hitters and making short work of these Nationals hitters.
And it's good to see, because that's exactly what he did the first half of the season, and his mindset hasn't changed, and it's great to follow him.
Slow roller. Martin, bare hand, can't come up cleanly. Infield hit for Espinosa. And that's twice in as many nights Prado has been tested on that play that Chipper Jones has patented for so long.
Yeah, Chipper is one of the best at coming in and barehanding and making this play, but I've seen Prado do it plenty of times too. But you got to remember, he's been out in left field, and he's back at third base with Chipper Jones being out, so you know, he's going to have to get used to making those plays again over there.
Here's Zimmerman. He's 0 for 2. 4 out of 14 against Braves pitching this year. And a .252 average.
Good breaking ball there by Tommy Hanson, and if he's going to throw it, that's where he wants it to be. It's either got to be down in the strike zone around the ankles, or he wants it to bounce to see if these guys will chase it.
Espinosa's got 12 steals, and you know teams like to run on Tommy, so let's see how closely he can hold the man at first.
Zimmerman has taken some funny swings throughout his career so far against Tommy Hanson. He's only hitting 200 against him, 3 for 15. He's got a couple doubles, but Tommy pretty much keeps him off balance.
Towards second. High throw, and Alex couldn't get the foot down, and he's going to argue with Doug Eddings. Freddie Gonzalez will come out and talk. A high throw from Dan Uggla pulled Gonzalez off the bag, and we'll have to take another look.
Yeah, Chip, I'm not sure, but it looked like Gonzalez came down on the base before the runner got there, and we'll take a look at it. Espinosa getting down. You see he has to throw over the. He's out.
He was out.
That's a blown call there. Hey, that's a tough play by Dan Uggla. He has to throw around the runner, but
the front leg of Espinosa never touched the bag. The back leg was the one. And the Nationals got a gigantic break as Gonzalez appeared to get the foot down, but did not get the call. And now Morse hits with 2 on and 1 out.
Doug Eddings, the second base umpire, has been a pretty good umpire so far in his major league career, but I have a feeling when he takes a look at this one after the game, he's going to try to improve on that.
Be careful with Morse. Squibbed toward first and foul to even up the count. FoxSportsSouth.com is giving you the ultimate online experience while you're watching your Braves. It's called Game Connect. Track every pitch, get instant player stats, even link up with social media and us up in the broadcast booth. A brand new second screen experience that puts you in the game. Game Connect at FoxSportsSouth.com.
And it's something else that Tommy isn't afraid to do, and that's pitch inside, which you have to do to a guy like Morse to open up the outside part of the plate. You see Morse there taking that pitch, and you can see him really dive on the outer half of the plate there. So if you're Tommy Hanson, you see that, or Brian McCann, who can see it also, try to run one underneath those hands just to get him off the plate. He may swing in it, he may not, but it's more of a purpose pitch so he can use the outside corner.
Popped him up. Infield fly should be called. It is. And 2 are out. Again, Washington has had trouble with runners in scoring position. Morse had a chance to chase home Espinosa, and he's out number 2.
Well, it's definitely going to be tough to score runs from runners in scoring position against the Atlanta Braves. We mentioned how good that pitching staff is, and second in all of baseball in ERA with 3.09. Only Philadelphia has a lower ERA in Major League Baseball, but They've been good with runners in scoring position, especially Tommy Hanson. He's not afraid to make a pitch, and you take a look at his opponent's batting average against. The base is empty, 208, but look at that with runners on, 159, runners in scoring position, 127.
It's Worth. Going back to your Ford Keys, Ronnie, this is a guy you don't want to allow to beat you. He's 1 for 2 in the game, just 10 hits in his last 69 at bats.
And, you know, and you're right, Chip, and that's the reason why they're always going to try to have a left-handed hitter behind Jason Worth to protect him, because they know that other teams are going to say, hey, I'm not going to let Jason Worth beat me. So if they're going to pitch around him, they're going to have to pitch to a guy that can hit or swing the bat from the left side.
Good cut. And Worth now behind 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Ooh, I know he wishes that he had that pitch back, and I think this pitch was just enough inside where it tied Jason up just a little bit to where he misses it, but you don't want to make a mistake back over the plate. You see Brian McCann set up inside. He reaches back over the middle of the plate. So Tommy Hanson is fortunate that that ball is in a souvenir right now.
Just a little low. And the count 2-2. Deuces wild. 2 on, 2 out. A 2-2 count in a 3-2 game.
Jason Worth will guess with you. He's a guess hitter from time to time, and especially with 2 strikes, he'll try to sit on breaking balls because he feels like the pitcher's going to go after him with all speed. So if you can sneak one on the inside corner off the plate inside, it'd be a pretty good pitch.
It'll be Tommy's 90th of the game. And he and McCann want to make sure they're on the same page. Pitch count a little bit deceptive in the case of a Tommy Hanson. You strike out 8 guys through 5 innings, you're automatically going to have a high pitch count. In his last start, he had 94 pitches through 7 innings. July 4th, 101 pitches in 7 innings against Colorado, and 6 strikeouts in each of those games.
Well, a lot of those pitches came back in that top of the second where the Nationals scored those 3 runs. He threw a lot of pitches that inning, and you see 27 that inning. That's the bulk of it.
High fly to right. Hayward going back. Jason is there, and that retires the side. Hanson pitches around a blown Doug Eddings call at second. No harm, no foul. Good pitching for Tommy Hanson and some of the fans at the ballpark tonight. Now for some offense. The Braves are down a run in the 5th. Bottom of inning number 5. The Braves will send Ramirez, Hansen, and Jordan Schaefer coming up. And Ronnie, if you're ready to do some racing, let's check things out on Sports South. Spotlight Atlanta Motor Speedway. You'll see the premiere on Friday at 10:30 Eastern Time here on Sports South.
I will be watching you, Chip. You know I love NASCAR. I really hate the fact that Atlanta Motor Speedway lost their March race. They're only going to have the Labor Day race now, but what a wonderful place to be.
Off the glove of Zimmerman into shallow left, and Ramirez throws on the brakes. He leads off the 5th inning. We'll see how that is scored. It might be an error on Zimmerman. The Nationals had 5 of them last night. They have 1 now in the 5th inning. That is an error.
That's a play that normally you would see Zimmerman make there. He's been pretty much a Gold Glove third baseman throughout his career so far, but just had a bad angle at that ball there. Didn't really charge it aggressively.
Hansen will try to bunt. Tommy has 6 sacrifices this year, and Lannon misses with ball 1. Close games, little things mean a lot. Braves have had a man thrown out at third base on a ground ball hit to shortstop. Now Tommy try to get a bunt down to get Ramirez in scoring position. He did, but hard back to the mound. 1 there, 2 there. Double play. Second double play in as many innings.
Yeah, this ball is just bunted way too hard back to the pitcher here. And again, if you're bunting, you want to try to be on the lines as much as possible, but you definitely don't want to bunt the ball this hard back to the pitcher, especially if you're the pitcher running, because you know they're going to try to turn 2 there.
It's a 1-6-4 scoring play. Espinoza with the play at first. Now Schaefer bats with the bases empty and 2 outs in the 5th.
And you know, the Braves offense at the first half of the season has struggled a little bit. We all know that, but you know, some of the little things they're going to have to do to score runs, and that's one of them there. You want to help yourself any way in shape and form that you can, and you know, those little things, when you don't get them done, they come back to be huge later on in ball games.
Two and 2. Braves have the best record in the National League since June 1st. Second best record in all of baseball, only to the Red Sox in that same stretch of time. Won 11 of their last 12 here at home, and halfway through this one in a 1-run game with Washington. Braves at the moment 3 games behind the Phillies. The Mets beat up on Cole Hamels at Citi Field today. Only the Phillies a little better since a little later in the month of June. At Atlanta, and surprisingly, Braves and Phillies right now a two-team race in the National League East.
Yeah, I think the Braves offense is starting to catch up a little bit with their pitching staff, which is good to see.
2-out walk brings up Martin Prado, who's the subject of our Geico quote of the day. Remember, we talked earlier, Ronnie, hey, might take Martin a little time to shake off some rust.
Yeah, you know, it didn't take long, though. You take a look at last night's blast here. It's good to see him back in the lineup. He gets a fastball in the inner half of the plate from Livan Hernandez, and that little short stride, no movement, all hands there. It's great to have him back in the lineup, but Martin Prado is, again, Chipper talked about how intense he is. You know, every time he goes up to the plate, he's going to give you a quality at bat.
I guess you're saying that Livan Hernandez was human WD-40.
That's right.
Prado.
Nice. Just what he needed.
You bet.
You know, I talked about this with Joe Simpson. I never knew what a staph infection was. I thought it was when the starting rotation just was in the tanks. That's what I know about a staph.
It was a scary, it was a scary problem for Prado. There's no doubt about that. And Morris just saved a throwing error by Lannon. His pickoff throw was in the dirt at first.
And you're right, Chip. If it put Martin Prado on the shelf, it had to be something serious because, again, we talked about his intensity. He wants to be out there every game, just as much a gamer as anybody I've ever seen out there on the diamond. So it had to be a big problem for him.
Ramos 13 for 38 in catching base stealers this year. Let's see if Jordan tries to improve on his 73% success rate.
It's going to be a little tougher against a left-handed pitcher, but Jordan is learning how to do this. And that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. All of a sudden, if you're John Lannon, you're over there, you got Jordan Schaefer at first base, you know, a guy that can steal bases and run the bases. So all of a sudden you're paying a little bit more attention to him. And you saw that last pitch from Martin Prado. That's up in the strike zone, which is not where he normally pitches. So that has a lot to do with Jordan Schaefer being on first.
And a big hole right side if Prado can fill it with 2 strikes. And Ramos a good stop. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lannon right around that 15 pitch per inning mark, Ronnie, that you were talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's pretty efficient out there. Not a lot of energy, and he doesn't try to overpower people or hitters at the plate. He just tries to use all of his pitches, all of his speeds, and he knows he's not going to have a lot of strikeouts. So he just goes up there and pitches to contact and let the guys get themselves out.
Schaefer got a good jump and a slow roller back to the mound. Will retire Martin Prado and the Braves. We've completed 5 in Atlanta. Glad you're with us. Here in Braves country, it's a 3-2 score. And first villain is the pitcher, John Lannon, who's pitched 5 effective innings.
Yeah, too many Washington Nationals on that graphic, but you're right, Chip. John Lannon also doing it at the plate with that 2-run single in the 2nd inning. You mentioned him out on the mound so far has been pretty good, but at the plate hasn't been very successful, but he hits one right up the middle. Alex Gonzalez and Dan Ugler, a little miscommunication play there, drives in 2. But the Braves answer right back in the bottom of the second with a 2-run home run by Alex Gonzalez. It's good to see him swing the bat well, and hopefully he can carry that throughout the second half of the season. A confidence boost for him and for the Braves.
And Keel will start things off in the Washington 6th. Rick has walked, struck out, and scored a run tonight.
This is a big inning for Tommy Hanson. We told you earlier about his pitch count being a little up and a little high there. So this is going to be the inning where he wants to get through it without giving up any runs and get the Braves back in there swinging the bat. So with that pitch count being high, that bullpen's going to be on alert.
0-2.
And just as I say that, George Sherrill starts to get loose in the Braves bullpen. Freddie Gonzalez knows what the pitch count is, and if he gets himself in a little bit of trouble this inning, then he's going to have to make a move.
Did he go? He did not.
That's a good try there, though. I mean, you've been throwing a lot of breaking balls with 2 strikes, and try to change it up a little bit against the left-hander and go fastball away to see if he'll chase it, and he almost does there.
And then Ankiel slices a single into straightaway left to lead off the inning. His first base hit of the night, and only his second against Braves pitching in the 2011 campaign. Get your tickets now, friends, for the Braves Alumni Weekend, August 12th through the 14th against the Cubs. 91 Braves worst to first team 20-year reunion. How does that make us feel? Alumni Legends game on Saturday the 13th. An autograph session for fans throughout the weekend. Visit Braves.com/tickets or call 800-745-3000. Don't forget, Bobby Cox will have his jersey retired on August the 12th.
Has it really been 20 years, Chip?
Hard to believe, huh?
It seemed like a blink of an eye. 20 years ago. Wow. That's it's going to be emotional. Well, Chipper and I were talking about it earlier, just having Bobby Cox's jersey retired and having that weekend for the 91 team. It's just, it's going to bring back a lot of good memories.
You know, I always wanted to ask you, when that 91 season was ongoing, you guys had to know you had a good club. I mean, you were playing good baseball. You had added Terry Pendleton and Sid Bream, and Greg Olson was there, Rafael Belliard, David Justice, yourself, Blauser, Lemke. When did you really, in your minds, feel like, okay, we can actually win this division in 1991? I don't know if the World Series was even in anybody's mind at that point in time, but when did you guys really know you were going to be good?
Well, we knew that, and it's just like this ball club, we knew that we had a really good starting rotation, and we had guys in the bullpen that would come in and get the job done. So offensively for us, we started going on a streak and started scoring runs at second half of the season, and we put together that run where we won like 12 out of 15 or something like that, and that was pretty much our confidence boost.
Ramos unloads to left. Ramirez lost it. Never would have been able to catch it. Ramos with a towering 2-run home run gives the Nationals a bigger cushion. It's now a 5-2 game. His 9th home run, and it was a towering shot.
Yeah, he didn't miss this one. He got all of it. Again, you saw that Brian McCann set up on the outside corner of the plate, looking for the fastball away, and look where that pitch ends up. About belt high in the middle of the plate, running into his bat there. Again, mislocation there, and I think a lot of it has to do with that high pitch count.
Wilkin lost this ball, and Ramos lost it deep into the night on Saturday at Turner Field. I mean, this thing was, that's Ron Gant territory out there.
I was going to say, Wilkin didn't have to see that one. That was long gone. But it's that time of the night, twilight, where these outfielders are going to have to help each other out there.
Well, fans might recall that 91 club. You guys had a real bad losing streak right before the All-Star break, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did.
And then came out like gangbusters in the second half of the year. And if I'm not mistaken, Terry Pendleton really gathered you guys together as a veteran leader on the club, a man who'd been through the battles before, and said what to you?
You know, it was great to have a guy like Terry, and that's why we got him, because he was a leader for the St. Louis Cardinals for all those years. And he did, Chip. He got us together and talked about how good we really are, but we just wasn't fulfilling our potential.
Hayward handles him right for the first out. Now Lannon will continue on with a 5-2 lead now. The Nationals trying to snap Tommy Hansen's personal 5-game winning streak and lead in the 6th. I remember at the old ballpark that final weekend series with the Houston Astros in town, and the Dodgers were playing out west. As Lannon has 2 hits tonight. He was 0 for 32 coming in, and Tommy Hansen will see that single end his night. 103 pitches will tell the tale for Tommy Hansen. He's allowed 8 hits, 2 of them to John Lannon, a long home run to Wilson Ramos, part of his 3 RBI night, and George Sherrill is summoned from the Braves bullpen. Back with more from Atlanta. By the Home Depot and by McDonald's. Washington extends its lead to 5-2 on a Wilson Ramos home run to left field. A single by John Lannon, the 3rd hit of the inning, chases Tommy Hansen. He will now give way to left-hander George Sherrill, who answers our AT&T call to the bullpen.
George has been very good for the Atlanta Braves, coming out of the bullpen, facing some of those tough lefties in some of these lineups in the NL East, and that's what they got him for. But good ERA at 2.13. Not a strikeout guy, but he knows how to get outs. 1 of 3 Braves left-handers coming out of the bullpen, and that's been a part of their success, being able to bring those lefties out of the bullpen.
Roger Bernardino 1 for 8 in the series, had a hit his first time up in last night's ball game, scored the first and only run for the Nationals. He hasn't reached since. In fact, Bernardino hasn't hit the ball out of the infield since the first inning of game 1 of the series.
Well, with that kind of speed, sometimes you don't have to. You mentioned the infield hits, and coming up through the minor league system of the Braves, if you were one of the top of the order guys, 1 or 2, especially the leadoff hitter, and you hit the ball in the air, they used to fine you for it. They wanted you to hit the ball on the ground and use your speed because you're more likely to get a hit there. And he's done a great job of that. Here's the infield hit leaders in the National League, and he's second behind Michael Bourne. And you take a look at that list, these are all guys that can really motor around the bases.
Fought off a breaking ball, did Bernardino, a native of Curacao, by Jair Jurgens and Andrew Jones. And the count now, a ball and 2 strikes. Nationals just continue, as Chipper Jones said in his chat with us in the third inning or so. Just a club that matches up very well for some reason with the Atlanta club. Braves have beaten them 4 out of 7 times this year. And while the Braves have had their troubles with Washington, the Phillies have absolutely killed them the last couple of years. As Bernardino down swinging. And that's an area I think that the Braves are really going to have to buckle down on. A lot of games within the division coming up in the second half of the year. And if they want to beat the Phillies and win the East, they have to do better than 1 or 2 games over 500 within the division.
Yeah, and it goes back to being so left-hand dominant offensively for the Atlanta Braves. You look at the Phillies, they have guys that they're platooning out in right field, a couple of right-handed hitters. You got switch hitters in their lineup, so it kind of offsets what the other team does to you as far as lefties. So if you load up a rotation against the Phillies of left-handed starters, they're still going to be able to score runs because they have some right-handed hitters in that lineup. So the Braves are going to have to do the same thing, and that's the reason why Wilkin Ramirez is in left field tonight, to try to get another right-handed bat in the lineup.
1 ball, no strikes. Here are the records within the division up to the moment. Phillies are 12 games over 500. Braves are only 2 over, but note, Phillies have played 10 more games against the East. Braves have had a very heavy road schedule. Already played 3 Western trips and have that out of the way as we move along in game 2 of the second half of the year. Sherrill does a good job in relief of Tommy Hanson, but the Nationals have him on the hook. It's a 5-2 game in the middle of inning number 6.
Coors Light freeze camp, and we go back to the 5th inning and a play over at second base where Doug Eddings, the second base umpire, misses a call here. Dan Uggla comes in, feels a ground ball, and tries to throw over the runner to Alex Gonzalez. Eddings calls him safe, and as you take a look at the Coors Light freeze cam, Alex Gonzalez's foot comes down on the base before Espinosa gets to it. Blown call by Doug Eddings. That was a Coors Light freeze cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Joe's beer. It's Joe's beer, you know.
Is it really?
Yes.
I'm sure he enjoyed that.
Let's see if the Braves bats can get something going in the 6th. Got the big boppers coming up. Brian McCann, Freddie Freeman, Dan Uggla coming up against John Lannon, who's given up 2 runs on only 2 hits. 2 runs on an Alex Gonzalez second inning homer that made it a 3-2 game. Brian 0 for 2 in this game and in this series. David Ross started last night. And an interesting number for Brian McCann. It's the subject of our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
Highest slugging percentage by major league catchers. And I've talked about this before. Since 2006, he's led every major statistical category for catchers in the major league. So He's in pretty good company, and I've talked about how underrated he is.
Up the middle. And Lannon, you could see a little bit of a flinch on that ball back through the box. Remember, he was knocked out of his last start on a comebacker that deflected off of his glove and then off of his nose.
Well, yeah, you can see John Lannon here. As soon as this ball's hit, man, he's trying to get out of the way. And I'm sure he had a little bit of a flashback to that last start against the Colorado Rockies where he took that line drive off the face. But Brian McCann continues his hot hitting, and again, I think he's one of the most underrated players in all of Major League Baseball.
Let's see if Freddie Freeman can stay in that coiled batting stance. Again, something Chipper pointed out.
You know, and a lot of what Chipper meant is, and I saw this early on, especially the first couple months of the season, is that he was really getting a lot of body into his swing, which makes your hands slow down. Now he's taking that body out, and it quickens your hands up, and he's able to get to those pitches inside that he was trying to fight off with his body instead of his hands. And as a result, you're starting to see him hit the ball out of the ballpark at all parts of the field.
That's what Chipper was talking about. Freddie just stays like a spring. And that time is an easy out. Lannon gets him on 3 pitches. Freeman strikes out for the second time and is 0 for 3.
This is just a good pitch by John Lannon here. Again, we mentioned that he's been pretty efficient all night long, but he's keeping them off balance because he's getting ahead and he's staying down in the strike zone for the most part, and that's a pretty good breaking pitch there by him.
1 on, 1 out for Uggla. Dan's walked twice.
Excuse me, Chip. Yeah, I mentioned that his last 4 starts against Atlanta, he's 3-0. So it's not like this is a surprise, and the Braves are going to have to change their approach at the plate if they're going to knock him out of the ball game.
Is he a guy that you'd walk back and say, "Wow, what a comfortable 0 for 4"?
Yeah, he's not going to overpower you. I talked about that earlier. So all you have to do is go up there and look for the ball up in the strike zone, and if it's below what you're looking for, to lay off of it. But he just got their number.
Dan fights off that pitch and bounces it in front of Jason Worth. Dan now with an 8-game hitting streak, and that'll bring the potential tying run to the plate in the form of Jason Hayward.
Well, we talked about Dan Uggla having some really good at-bats, especially going into the All-Star break, and he's starting to do that again the second half of the season. His first 2 plate appearances, he's had 2 walks, and then all of a sudden now he adds this single there. So he's starting to see the ball pretty well and get that confidence back at the plate that he showed last year.
Jason tried to go the other way last time up. Good idea, but a better play by Zimmerman, who took away a hit deep in the hole between the third base bag and the shortstop spot. Hayward's got another big hole that way with 1 out and 2 on. And we already know what Alex has done against Lannon tonight and in his career. He is the Delta Airlines on-deck hitter. Jason behind, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
We're almost going out to talk to John Lannon. I think John missed his location there. I think he's fortunate Jason Hayward didn't hit that pitch, but we talked about Jason Hayward actually being so far off the plate. I think it's a good thing against lefties that he stands off the plate, but against right-handers, I don't think he needs to stand that far off. But that's a mislocated pitch there, and he's fortunate to get that back. You see him flinch there because he knew that wasn't where he meant for that pitch to be.
Lannon has not had pinpoint control tonight. He'd walked just 37 men in 108 innings coming in. He's walked 4 tonight. He has struck out 4. He scattered 5 hits. 3 singles, a double, and a homer. And Hayward drives one toward Worth in right. Not any carry at all. And Worth, fooled momentarily by the big swing, tracks it down for the second out. But he's not out of the inning yet. And he is out of the game now. Davey Johnson knows what Alex Gonzalez has done to John Lannon in his career and in this game. And he's going to go get his left-hander with 2 on and 2 out in the 6th inning. He's given the Nationals a chance to win the game. He leaves leading by a 5-2 score. And we will return to Turner Field with a game on the base paths. He has been a nemesis, as you mentioned, Ronnie. 3-0 in his last 4 starts against the Braves, winning tonight 5-2. The only 2 runs across for the Braves so far, courtesy of an Alex Gonzalez home run.
Yeah, John Lannon pretty much all night has made one mistake, and that was to Alex Gonzalez in that 2nd inning. But since then, he's been very good. He's not afraid to pitch inside. He kept the Braves pretty much off balance all night long, and he leaves this game with a lead, but hopefully he won't get the win.
Ryan Matthews is on in relief. He's been very, very good. They got him from the Rockies in a trade deadline deal in 2009, a deal that sent Joe Beimel to Colorado. Matthews, another veteran of Tommy John surgery. He was in the middle of rehabbing from that surgery at the time of the trade. Washington knew all about it, but still liked this kid's arm. And 6'3", 215-pound right-hander out of Galt, California, will face Alex Gonzalez with 2 on and 2 out.
You know, I talked about it. I like the guys in the Washington bullpen. They come out, they throw hard, they throw strikes. See 94 miles an hour there on his first pitch, just trying to get over a strike there. Again, it's a young bullpen, but they're very aggressive.
Swing and a drive down the left field line. Will it stay fair? No. He missed a double by a 1.5 feet.
Matthews hangs a breaking ball to Alex Gonzalez here, and he's just out on his front foot trying to guard against that fastball. He knows that Matthews throws hard, and he was kind of caught in between there, between the fastball and the slider. That's why he was out front, but almost keeps it fair.
So now he's got some heavy duty lifting with 2 strikes and 2 outs. And a roller towards short. Desmond to second, and that will retire the side. Matthews shuts the door, preserves a 5-2 lead for John Lannon as we move along to inning number 7. Seventh inning with our fill-in producer Cole Reynolds and my co-star Ron Gant. Chip Carey at the ballpark where the Nationals try to even up this series at a game apiece. If you'd like to go racing, Sports South is taking you behind the wheel on one of NASCAR's fastest tracks. Spotlight Atlanta Motor Speedway premieres this Friday at 10:30 Eastern right here on Sports South. That's a couple of years ago. Ron Gant and I went down to Atlanta Motor Speedway. They dressed us up in the, what do you call them? Racing, not racing silks, that's horse racing, but the crash helmets and all that.
Right.
Around the track we went.
I put that helmet on and I thought, I was going to go play football or something. But I'm telling you, it was very exciting. Especially, you didn't realize it until you got in the car. I'm paying attention to what was going on in the car. The gear shift, the steering wheel, where everything was. And I look up and I look into turn 1 and it's like this.
Yes.
My heart almost jumped out of my chest.
Yeah, you're about 80 miles an hour at the end of pit road. That's right. Quite a treat.
It is. It was a blast.
So you will definitely want to check that out on Sports South. And we get the word it is the fire suit.
Fire suit, that's right.
Never an encouraging thing you think about when you get into a NASCAR. Corey Garrett answers the AT call to the bullpen as he starts off the 7th.
Well, I guess the fire suit is better than the hot seat. Been on that before.
Yes, as have many major league managers.
That's right.
Chance for Corey to round back into shape. He's had a rough go of it lately. And he pumps over a quick second strike. Mets beat the Phillies 11-2 earlier today. A chance for the Braves to gain some ground in the division. They've been between 3 and 4 games behind the Phillies, it seems, for about a month. At the moment, they're 3 back, but trail by 3 tonight after 6. And Zimmerman is down swinging for out number 1. Parents, bring your kids to an amazing week at Turner Field July 25th through 28th against the first place Pittsburgh Pirates. That's right, the Pirates are in first. All week long, get $5 Upper Pavilion tickets and free Braves Museum admission. On Thursday, there'll be a pregame parade for kids, free Scouts Alley games, and the first 20,000 fans get a Chipper Jones bobblehead from Delta Airlines. For tickets, visit Braves.com/kidsweek or call 800-745-3000.
Pirates in first place. Amazing. It's amazing what Clint Hurdle has done with that organization, especially at the big league level. He's got those young guys playing well there. That's going to be a fun series.
Matty Diaz will be back with the Pittsburgh Ball Club. Charlie Morton's had a resurgent season. Pirates have a Good pitching staff, and like many in Major League Baseball, that's a club that is also looking for a bat for their lineup. Everyday hitter they'd like to add, especially from the right side. We'll see if they can do that before they come to town in late July.
I just saw the standings there. Those are some really good ball clubs in the National League Central. And wow, it looks funny to see Pittsburgh on top though. It's a good story.
Yeah, they're filling up PNC Park, and as you know, Ron, that's a great baseball town. I mean, you think of the great teams that they had there, the great players, Honus Wagner, Wayner brothers, John Candelera. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I'm sure you guys, when you have the '91 Braves reunion here, will talk an awful long time about those great series that you had head-to-head with the Pittsburgh Pirates in postseason play.
Yeah, 91 and 92, both those series were they were phenomenal. Again, you know, a lot of emotion swing during those series. That one time in 1992, I thought we had lost that game, and I was pretty much giving up. But Cabrera gets that hit, and it was just amazing, the electricity that was in that stadium that night.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The count to Mike Morse, or Michael, as he likes to be called. This is a 6'5", 240-pound man, and was originally a shortstop.
Yeah. Cal Ripken mold there, but this guy has a ton of power.
Hit that ball foul before it hit him.
Yeah, that was a big breaking ball there by Guerin. I think that you mentioned earlier some of his struggles of late, and it's been more not getting ahead with that first pitch and being able to use that slider more effectively. You know, I'm sure Roger McDowell's working with him and making sure that he tries to get that first pitch strike.
A flinch behind the plate, but no raise of the right arm. 2-2.
Take a look at the Fox track here, and it's a good call by the umpire there. It's just off the plate inside.
Morse, another swing.
Michael Morse thinking, I know he's got to throw me a fastball sooner or later. See him out front on that pitch. Again, it looked like he was thinking fastball, but trying to guard against that slider also.
That one gets away from McCann. Got a friendly bounce. And a big stretch. Got him for the second out.
Good play by Brian McCann here. Those cat-like reflexes back there. He knew as soon as this ball got by him, he had a chance to throw Michael Morse out here, and got a pretty good bounce off the backstop there to give him a shot at throwing him out here. It's a good throw. And look at the stretch by Freddie Freeman. It helps being 6'5", doesn't it, Chip?
It does. You know, that's something that I don't think casual fans really appreciate. He does stretch at the first base bag as well as any young first baseman I've seen in a long time. How many times have you seen a guy get tied up because he's not stretching toward the ball?
That's right. And the Braves infielders will tell you that they would have more errors on the year if it wasn't for Freddie Freeman over there at first base. Like you said, he can stretch just as good as anyone, and it helps being 6'5", but he's really good with that glove over there. I mean, just even on short hops, he didn't have to stretch sometimes, but his hand-eye coordination out there is amazing, and that hurts just looking at it.
2 balls, no strikes to Jason Worth, who's 1 for 3 tonight. I mentioned last night, fans around the Southeast might know of Worth's major league career, but before he was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, Jason Worth had a scholarship offer to play baseball at the University of Georgia. Bumstead signed with Baltimore and has been with several major league clubs, including the Dodgers. And of course, rose to prominence with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, some big years with Philadelphia there, and they're still trying to fill that void. And part of the rumor mill has been that the Phillies are going to try to get another right-handed bat as well in their lineup, especially for right field, because they've been platooning Ben Francisco and a couple other guys out there. And the name has been Jeff Rancourt. That's been thrown around from the Kansas City Royals. So Charlie Manuel has always liked Jeff and always tried to get him on his ball club. So if they can add him, it would help their offense out a lot. We all know what he can do in right field with that throwing arm. He always leads the league in assists.
3-2 pitch. Worth strikes out. Guerin strikes out the side of the 7th. Well, as we used to say in Chicago, Ronnie, let's get some runs.
That's right. Let's go.
7th inning stretch in a 5-2 Washington game. Scratching out that 0 at the end of the 10,000 and making it 10,001. They've got 9 outs to score 4 runs. They trail 5-2, and here's how we've gotten to the 7th inning stretch.
Well, it was most of it. Chip was in the 2nd inning. At the top, in the top of the 2nd, John Landon comes up. We mentioned hadn't had a hit on the season, but drives in 2 with that two-run RBI single up the middle. The bottom half of the inning, Alex Gonzalez comes up and hits a 2-run home run to keep the Braves close. But then Wilson Ramos gets a pitch up in the strike zone from Tommy Hanson in the 6th inning and hits a 2-run home run there. And that leaves us with a 5-2 score.
And the 8, 9, and 1 spots coming up here at the Chop House. It'll start with Wilkin Ramirez, who singled and walked. And he pops up the first pitch for Matthews into shallow right. 1 pitch, 1 out. And Brooks Conrad will pinch hit for Corey Guerin.
Chip, is going to be a huge college football season in the South. And to get things kicked off, the Atlanta Sports Council is holding a special preview luncheon. Some of the biggest names in college ball will be on hand, and you can be too. It's all happening Wednesday, July 27th. For ticket information, visit atlantasportscouncil.com.
Conrad will try to get something started with 1 out. Braves had a couple of chances in this game. Remember, 3rd inning, Jordan Schaefer had a bloop double. Martin Prado hit a ground ball to short. Jordan had to hesitate for a moment, otherwise the ball would have hit him on the base paths. He tried to take 3rd, was thrown out. That would have represented the tying run had he scored. And Atlanta's received 2 walks. Has gotten 3 hits since that 3rd inning, but hasn't been able to break through as John Lannon has mesmerized Atlanta's bats. Wilson Ramos with a big day at the plate. The ball skips off the mound, and Desmond glides and throws out Conrad. 2 out.
Well, you figure if you get John Lennon out of the ball game, who threw the ball well for the Washington Nationals, and get into that bullpen, you might have a shot at scoring some runs here. So far, that hasn't happened. But again, I mentioned how good and how young the Washington Nationals bullpen is. Again, another hard thrower out there, and he's doing the job so far. But maybe Jordan Schaefer could get something started with 2 outs.
Washington's got, as you mentioned, a pretty solid bullpen. Davey Johnson told me last night he likes his short inning relievers. Tyler Clippard was an all-star. They've got Drew Storen down there. He's got closing experience. Remember, we saw that kid Henry Rodriguez come in and throw 100 miles an hour in his scoreless inning of work.
Todd Coffey, who runs out as fast as as hard as he throws. Makes me tired when he comes out of the bullpen.
2 balls and a strike. There he is.
Good stuff. Sinker, slider, and not afraid to pitch inside.
Zimmerman at 3rd. No complaints on the infield grass tonight for the Washington 3rd sacker. New throwing mechanics and a perfect peg retires Schaefer and the Braves in order to end the 7th inning. The Atlanta Braves on Sports South are brought to you in part by Georgia Power, by Toyota, by Blimpie, and by Geico. With Ron Gant, Chip Carey back at the ballpark, an important series for the Washington Nationals as well as the Braves. The Nats trying to stay relevant in the wild card race. And after Atlanta thumped them last night 11-1, Washington's responded with a 5-2 lead entering the 8th inning. And entering the game is Eric O'Flaherty. He answers the AT&T call to the pen.
Eric O'Flaherty also been really good out of the Braves bullpen. He is 46th game on the season that he's pitched in. Just over a 1 ERA coming out of the bullpen. And again, another guy that comes out there, throws strikes, try to get ahead. Not afraid to pitch inside also.
Bottom of the Nationals order has done a lot of good work tonight. And Keel has reached twice. He's scored twice. He's walked and singled. Man on deck has been the real villain tonight. Wilson Ramos, a 3 RBI night. And his 2-run homer right now has been the decisive blow. Broken bat. Freeman to the bag in time for out number one. Fans, you can enter for a chance to throw out the first pitch at the Braves-Pirates game July 26th. That's presented by Lay's Potato Chips. Visit the Lay's display at your local Publix by July 20th to enter. Lay's Potato Chips, naturally seasoned and locally made in Kathleen, Georgia, and all across America.
Can't eat just one.
Where's Kathleen, Georgia?
She's probably home watching.
That's a good answer. I'll bet Cole Reynolds will be able to find the answer for us. He's our assistant producer tonight. As Wilson Ramos evens the count at a ball and a strike. This guy's a good player. They got him in a trade with Minnesota last year, sent Nat Caps. Minnesota needed a closer when Joe Nathan got hurt. Got a cornerstone catcher to work in tandem with Pudge Rodriguez, a sure Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm sure Ramos has learned a lot from Ivan Rodriguez, especially receiving back there with as good as his pitching staff has been.
Cole Reynolds tells us that Kathleen, Georgia is just south of Warner Robins. So there's your answer as to where those locally made Lay's potato chips.
Down there by Perry, ain't it? Like it.
And a lot of folks on our Game Connect website are twittering away and telling me the same thing. So Cole had his answer right. So we appreciate all that. Appreciate all the tweets on the Game Connect feature. Hope you're enjoying that. Our new feature on Fox Sports South. As Ramos walks with one out in this eighth inning. First pass for Eric O'Flaherty.
It's rare to see Eric O'Flaherty walk a batter. Again, I mentioned when he comes in the game, he normally just goes out and throws strikes and gets the job done for him. So hopefully he can work out of this, maybe get a ground ball here.
Ian Desmond, the hitter. Sarasota, Florida, and he inside outs a ball to right. And has his first base hit of the night. Ball got away for a moment from Hayward. That'll cost Atlanta a base. Ramos moves up to third. Single and an E9 puts him at first and third. And Washington again will go to its bench.
Well, Eric got the ground ball. It was just in a bad spot here. And I'm not sure what happened to Jason Hayward, who's pretty sure-handed out there, and just bobbles this and can't corral it.
And that'll bring up Brian Bixler. He'll bat for Matthews, who did a good job in relief. Double play still in order for Atlanta. Can't give the Nats any more. They already lead by a 5-2 score.
Yeah, we have to keep this manageable. So this is a big out here.
Great crowd tonight. 42,456 here to see the Braves and Nationals play. And then they'll stick around for the B-52s.
Love Shack, baby.
So a great night for a ball game, but not the result Atlanta was hoping for. Down 5-2, still some time left. A little high, ball two.
Brian McCann set up on the inside corner of the plate there. Flaherty misses, but Brian wants that ground ball. Trying to get that slider down in the strike zone, running in on him to see if he could beat it in the dirt.
Bixler, born and raised a Pittsburgh Pirate out of Perkins, Ohio High School. Went to Eastern Michigan University. Mid-American Conference Player of the Year back in 2004, a first-team All-American. Washington got him from the Pirates last August in a cash deal. Never played at the big league level with Washington last season. But a right-handed bat off the bench for Davey Johnson's Washington Nationals club. Another important series for the Nationals. Mentioned earlier, they're trying to stay relevant in the wild card race. As a shot toward Prado, he's going home, and a perfect peg retires Ramos. What a heads-up play! It's the only play he had. Wow.
And folks, you don't know how difficult this is because he has to arrange to his right. And of course, the runner coming down the line, so he's going to have to make this throw around the runner. You don't want to hit that runner in the back or in the helmet and have the runners running around the bases. So this is a good play and a good throw by Martin Prado there.
And that was our Toyota play of the game. So I'll bet they're cheering like crazy down in Kathleen, Georgia. As a broken bat bounced to Ugla. He'll throw to first and gets Roger Bernardina. The barrel of the bat nearly hit Eric O'Flaherty on the way by. Cat-like reflexes for young Eric. And a good play by Martin Prado keeps the game at 5-2. Bottom half of the inning. Again, Braves bats need to come to life late. To bottom of the 8th inning. Biggest crowd of the season since the Texas Rangers were here. Over 42,000, hoping for an 8th or 9th inning comeback against this Washington bullpen. And to get things started, they've got a tangle with an all-star. That's Tyler Clippard, who's out of the Washington pen now, with Prado, McCann, and Freeman coming up.
Tyler Clippard, you see his strikeouts to innings ratio, and 63 and 51 in a third inning. So he is a strikeout guy. High 90s, mid to high 90s, has a really good hard breaking ball. Kind of throws over the top.
I was going to say, he is right over the top. What problems does that cause a hitter, if any?
Well, usually when a pitcher's over the top like that, his fastball stays pretty straight, but it's so overpowering because he throws so hard. and he equalizes it with a good hard breaking ball.
And he pops up Prado. Morse at first. And one man down in the Atlanta eighth. And this is what it looks like in Exmo slow motion.
Well, as a hitter, you're trying to pick up the ball as quick as you can out of his hand, and that means you recognize a pitch. But when a guy throws over the top like that, it's not ordinary, so you have to look in a different location to pick the ball up out of his hand. And I think that's a lot of the reason why he's been so successful.
Balls and a strike to Brian McCann, who's 1 for 3 tonight. And a cue shot hugging the line at third. Zimmerman tried to steal an out, but couldn't get there in time.
What's Zimmerman doing over there anyway? They normally play the shift on Brian McCann. Normally, I think right away that's a base hit, but I look up and Zimmerman's right there. Yeah, they're pretty much lined up straight up against Brian McCann, and you see most teams in the National League playing way over, play that shift over to right field, and it's not going to give Brian McCann anything.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Clippard with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball retires McCann for out number 2. Freddie Freeman hits with 2 outs and the bases clear. 5-2 Washington. 3rd game of the series here tomorrow afternoon. It's getaway day for Braves and Nationals. Washington will head to Houston. Braves will head to Denver for a 4-game series with the Rockies. And another lefty will oppose us. Tom Gorzelani will face Jair Jurgens, who looks for his 13th win of the year.
That's right, Chip. Gorzelani, another crafty left-handed pitcher, so it's good to see Jair Jurgens back there out there on the mound tomorrow. I mentioned Freddie Gonzalez bumped him back a day since he had pitched a couple innings in the All-Star game. So look for him to be nice and fresh and stay on the roll he's been on the first half of the season. Well, that's just unfair right there. You know the guy's going to throw mid-90s. He's got a good hard breaking ball, but all of a sudden here comes a 80-mile-an-hour changeup. You're swinging at that arm action, which is pretty much the key for a pitcher that throws some changeups. You got to have that fastball arm action when you throw that changeup, and he does.
And a fan has jumped onto the field, and the Braves security takes care of that. If I'm not mistaken, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 security guards pounced on that fan almost immediately.
Unfortunately.
We don't show the lunatic fringe, so you'll just have to use your imagination, as one of the security guards might have a job with the Falcons. That was great work. Well, we know for sure, Ronnie, one fan won't be sticking around for the B-52's concert.
That's right. That is right.
And we will have a bit of a longer delay. Security tried to take the fan out through the bullpen gate and right. And I think Eddie Perez said he's not welcome here. So they'll take him down to the right field foul pole and escort the fan out that way, I believe. Yep, Eddie guarded the gate. It was a male fan dressed in a wedding dress. That's all we're going to tell you.
You know, and that messes up the flow of the game, too, especially if you're Freddie Freeman. You step up to the plate, you have a plan in mind how you're going to approach this guy, and all of a sudden this happens, and now you're sitting there thinking, and that's too much time to think as a hitter, trust me.
Still no 2 count. High fly to right. Worth on the run. And he'll make the play to retire the side. Braves retired in order in the 8th inning. 5-2 is our score. We go to the 9th inning. Wilson Ramos had a big night tonight for the Nationals, driving in 3 of their 5 runs, including a 2-run homer in the 6th that has been the decisive blow. The Braves hoping to pick up the game on the Phillies, who lost earlier today. As it stands now, the Braves 3 games out, pending the outcome of this ball game. And Atlanta's not going to see the Phillies until the first week and last week of September. There are your head-to-head games, September 5th, 6th, and 7th at Citizens Bank Park, and then the last 3 games of the regular season here at Turner Field, the 26th, 7th, and 8th.
Well, Chip, the most important thing is the Braves just have to take care of what they can take care of, and that is, as of late, they're playing really good baseball. They're playing fundamental baseball. They're not making many mistakes. The pitching is going to be there for the rest of the season, so offensively, if you can stay consistent and score runs, then you're going to have a shot when it comes down to those games in September. Play head-to-head against the Phillies.
Danny Espinosa leads off against Scott Proctor, the 4th Braves reliever to answer the AT&T call to the bullpen.
Scott trying to get back on track there, and got hit around a little bit his last outing up in Philadelphia, but good hard throw. I always liked his arm. Again, I think it's been location with him when he gets hit, so it's going to have to be down in the strike zone as well.
Popped into shallow center, the wind blowing in. Jordan right at the comma makes the play for number 1 here in the 9th. Sundays on Fox Sports South. Join Tom Brokaw for Boys in the Hall. Personal stories of some of baseball's greatest legends. This week it's Whitey Ford. Boys in the Hall, Sundays presented by Subway, where winners eat.
Another tough lefty.
Chairman of the board, they called him.
That's right.
So it these great Yankees teams. Now backing out of play by Zimmerman. Strike one. Ryan 0 for 4 tonight, 1 for 7 in the series.
And that last pitch by Scott Proctor is exactly what I'm talking about. He's got such a live arm. He's a good hard fastball. He's got a good breaking ball, which he just got an out on, but every once in a while he'll get that pitch up in the strike zone. Zimmerman took a pretty good hack at that.
Right there for strike two.
See there, 96 miles an hour, just off the outside edge. Not a bad spot.
Right side. Ugla to his left, set his feet, and takes care of Zimmerman for the second out. Here's Morse.
Dan has had a rough first half, to say the least, offensively, but first half of the season defensively, he was very, very solid for the Atlanta Braves. Made some really nice plays over there.
Swing for Morse. 1 ball, no strikes. Morse has a rather unusual stance that Brian and I were talking about last night, Ronnie. How strong do you have to be to hold your hands so far away from your body straight away as you get ready to start your swing?
Yeah, it's got to be hard, but as you can see, once he's in rhythm with the pitcher, when the pitcher is about to deliver the pitch, you can see him kind of ease those hands back in a little bit, and that's his trigger. He wants to be in rhythm with that pitcher when the pitcher delivers to the plate, and when the ball gets to him, he has those hands back. And as a result, he creates a lot of power, separation between the hands and his body once he gets back in that hitting position. And that's what creates all that power.
Hey, you got to figure this is a guy you booked for 25 home runs. He's at 15 now. And the Nationals will then have a decision. They've got Adam LaRoche under contract for next year, too. Adam's coming off shoulder surgery. He's lost for the season. Morse started the year as their opening day left fielder, or their everyday left fielder. And moved to first when Adam got hurt. After a 2-out walk, will bring Jason Worth to the plate with the Nationals leading 5-2.
Yeah, and he's not going to play right field because the guy that's coming up to the plate now. So I believe it's a good problem for the Nationals to have because he's going to play.
Well, I think this is going to be, with all due respect to the Phillies and Mets, the Phillies are getting older. They are a terrific team. They are the team to beat. Don't misunderstand me. But 2 or 3 years from now, they're going to have a lot of veteran guys on that club with big contracts. You think about the young teams in this division. The Marlins are young. The Braves are young. The Nationals are young. The Mets are rebuilding. There's going to be an awful lot of good young talent for a long time in the National League East. A lot of it being featured in this series between the Braves and Nationals tonight.
Yeah, and you mentioned the New York Mets. They have already began to unload some of those contracts. Francisco Rodriguez going over to the Milwaukee Brewers, and I think Jose Reyes and Beltran are next. David Wright has a big contract. Jason Bay has a big contract. So financially, what's happened to that ball club, they're going to have to unload some of those contracts. So they're going to have to get younger as well. But you're right, Chip. The Nationals are going to be around for the next 2 or 3 years, and they're going to be very good.
And that's good for baseball. I mean, look, if it's our national pastime, the team in the nation's capital ought to be good. And it's not surprising that when Stan Kasten was in charge of things there, his mantra was build through the farm system so that when you get good, you can stay good. That's the philosophy that Mike Rizzo, their current GM, has. Roy Clark now with the National Scouting Department, drafting very well. And I think they do have a chance to get good and stay good. As Proctor's walked his second straight man with 2 outs. Here's Ankiel.
Again, and this is something that Scott Proctor has fought a lot, especially this season, is he's got such good stuff, but every once in a while he just loses the strike zone, especially up.
Do that to this guy, he'll hit it into the chop house. Ankiel has tremendous power, as you know. And a good night for the National center fielder. That one sends Kerwin Danley to his backside. A foul ball rocks the home plate umpire, and Kerwin Danley is flat on his back.
Wow, it is good to see him bounce right back up because he took a shot right there. I mentioned how hard Scott Proctor throws. Well, this is barely foul tip by Rick Ankiel, and that actually speeds the pitch up, and he takes a pretty much right on the shoulder there. And I'm telling you, folks, that cannot feel good. I mean, that's a big man, and it knocked him down like a tree.
Proctor checks on the umpire. McCann as well. And Kerwin Danley ready to go back to work. Mm. 0-2. And Ankiel down on strikes. Last chance for the Braves, and the middle of the order is coming up in a 3-run game. It's Washington 5, Braves 2. Bottom of the 9th inning. Dan Uggla, Jason Hayward, Alex Gonzalez scheduled. And Kerwin Danley is smarting, folks. He got absolutely popped by a foul ball a moment ago. He stays in the game as Drew Storen enters the game for the Nationals. Storen will try to pick up the save for John Lannon.
Drew Storen, another hard-throwing righty out of the Nationals bullpen. I talked about it all night long, how they have some good young arms coming out of that bullpen. This will be his 45th game. Again, the strikeouts are up for him, 34 in 46 innings. A little below the average, but a guy that has really good stuff, throws hard as well, and a really good breaking ball.
Pretty good draft by the Nationals a couple of years ago. They got Steven Strasburg with the #1 pick, and they got Storen with the 10th or the 11th pick. You get your #1 starter and your #1 closer in the same draft, and they're both in the big leagues a year or so later. That's very, very fortunate drafting. And Storen, 5 saves in his last 7 games, has a 7-inning scoreless streak on the line here in the 9th inning with a 3-run lead and 3 outs to get. Dan Uggla will start things off. Storen has allowed 2 hits and 3 tries to Uggla in their head-to-head matchups. Both of those hits for Dan, doubles.
I just really like Uggla's approach now at the plate. He's seeing the ball well. Again, I mentioned he has 2 walks on the night and a single to right field, and that's a good thing to see.
Braves are 2-30 this year when trailing after 8 innings, so they'd like to improve that stat tonight.
Dan Uggla has 2 hits and 3 trips at the plate against Storen in his career.
Fought that pitch off to stay alive at 1-2. Braves 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors in the game. Washington 5 runs on 9 hits. They've played errorless ball in game 2. Breaking ball got Uggla. 1 out.
It's exactly what I'm talking about out of Drew Storen. He's got that good hard fastball, but take a look at this breaking ball. That's a big break. It starts out in the middle of the zone, in the middle of the plate, and all of a sudden it darts out of the strike zone. And Dan Uggla trying to pull it. It's a tough pitch to try to pull there.
Jason Hayward an 0 for 3 night tonight. Braves couldn't solve John Lannon, the Nationals starter, scattered 5 hits over 5 2/3 innings. Tommy Hansen's 5-game winning streak is on the line. Braves down 3 runs. Hansen 8 hits, 5 runs, and 5 1/3 with 8 strikeouts. To the left side, Desmond surrounds, throws off balance, short hop, handled by Morse, and that's twice tonight. Hayward has been robbed of a hit by this Nationals infield defense.
Well, this is a good play on both ends. I was surprised that he got to this ball. Makes a good solid throw over there, and again, Michael Morse has been playing really good defense up until last night, but he shows why he's been pretty good over there. A good stretch, a lot like Freddie Freeman. It helps to be tall and be able to go out and get that hop there.
Last hope for the Braves, Alex Gonzalez with 2 outs.
seems like for closers, that third out is always the toughest. Get 2 quick ones, and all of a sudden now it's a 2-0 count to the third hitter up there.
Rolled to the left side. Ball stays down. Desmond hangs with it. And the Washington Nationals even up this series and beat the Braves by a final score of 5-2. Turner Field was Wilson Ramos' love shack tonight, with the B-52s getting set to perform. He is our Home Depot player of the game.
Yeah, 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs on the night, and it started in the second inning. He had an RBI double, falls in here and bounces over the fence. The Braves were fortunate that that ball bounced over, but to no avail. And then, of course, here in the 6th inning, the big 2-run blast there to pretty much give them some insurance. Final is 5-2. Washington Nationals take the 2nd game of the series. Hopefully the Braves can bounce back tomorrow afternoon.
Lannon beats Hansen. Storin picks up the save. And you're right, Ronnie, the rubber game of the series comes up tomorrow. It'll be Tom Gorzolani and Jair Jurgens. But coming up next, it's Braves Live post-game interviews, Freddie Gonzalez sound, and all of tonight's highlights. For Ron Gant and the crew, Chip Carey. Braves Live coming up next.